Meanwhile, I'm looking good.
Yeah, looking bright. Okay.
Is it really bright on your side?
No, like appropriate or bright.
Yeah.
Like not over.
Thanks, Discord.
Not overexposed.
Very
like mine.
evenly.
Discord is
Yeah.
definitely doing something to me.
Yeah.
I'll
Yeah.
take it.
It looks. We should be live now. I want to. Everything looks to be running okay. I fully expect for there to be technical issues because this is a new set. The lighting I probably have to adjust, among other things. But
With those panels.
there's supposed to be more. But
Yeah, I see
For
you're a
now.
little short, but dude, looks good.
yeah, I was thinking, well, maybe I could like leave the space around some of the portraits. But for now, this will do for now. There's actually more
Coming along.
on these walls too.
Sure.
Yeah.
Nice.
But at some point I'll do a studio tour when it's complete. It's not done yet. We still got work to do. but
What? You have a studio now?
Studio tour.
Well, it's a room that is just dedicated to this. So
Yes.
if you want to
that's
call
a
it
studio.
Very nice.
then it's a studio. So
Yep.
there you go. Yeah, there we go. No beds, no closets or extra furniture that's not needed. Just a studio. Yeah. But guys in the chat, let me know how everything looks and sounds, barring the extra purpley light. I don't think there's anything I can do. There's nothing I want to troubleshoot right now in terms of lighting balancing while we're live. So, but just let me know if everything looks okay, and just let me know if at least like it's not choppy or anything, and if the sound is there. Like if the background music is too loud or too quiet, if our voices are too loud or too quiet, please let me know. But yeah, tonight the plan is to talk about Nintendo as it is every Monday night. And this time, we're going to be focusing on some recent rumors about The Legend of Zelda and Metroid. Came from Jeff Grubb this past week. You may have already heard about this stuff. We'll be going in a little bit in depth tonight. We'll also be going into our impressions of Pikmin 4. The game has officially been out since this Friday, and some of us have been able to play a little bit beyond the demo. So we'll be getting into that. And as I said earlier, some good old Switch 2 speculation. Is there reason to have Switch 2 speculation? I mean, look, he's got a Nintendo Switch 2 GameCube right there.
There it is.
Right there in his hands.
Playing Pikmin 4 at 4K right now.
He's playing Pikmin 5.
I got 4K, 120
Pikmin
FPS.
5K. There you go.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, so we'll talk about a little bit about Switch 2. We'll go into a little bit about the conversation around this fake leak that everyone's been kind of talking about. But there's something I actually want to get into. I'll leave that for a surprise that maybe you don't know what I'm get to. But it is.
I didn't even know what the topics were, to be honest. I literally hadn't even booted up Pikmin 4 until I read your topic, and I was like, "Oh crap! I probably should play a little bit, huh?"
I just figured you would have played a little bit.
I had a really busy weekend.
Yeah, same. I was trying to catch up playing it before as well. I played like 30, 45 minutes earlier.
Nice.
I was kind of hoping you guys got a chance to play it because I
got off work at like 4:30.
I've tried to still maintain making YouTube videos and stuff, but I still have had to move and build this set, which is still a work in progress. But I think I got it. I mean, we're live, right? So I got it. I got enough done so we could go live, and it looks semi-presentable, just very purple. Which I mean that was the goal. It might be a little too bright, just a little bit. Yeah. Anyways,
use enough maybe.
I have played Pikmin 4. I haven't beaten Pikmin 4 yet, but I've played it. I've gotten to the third area. Fourth area if you count the hub world. Well, fifth area if you count the prologue and the hub world.
So third area on the map when you actually go.
Yeah,
to select things, right?
The third region on the world map. That's what I've gotten to.
Same.
Yeah. So I have progressed a decent amount. I've put in a few hours, but I haven't gotten to the nighttime gameplay yet. So that might be close. Now, the other thing is that when I'm in an area, I really focus on that area. I'm like, I'll try to do everything I can. Now, there are some limitations because, for example, there's a giant puddle of water, and you don't have the blue Pikmin that can go in the water. Well, you can't get the treasure that's in the water. You just can't do it. Or can you? That's that Tears of the Kingdom mentality. Well, it might be possible. So I'm gonna try, right? That's kind of the thing about Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom.
Some things.
They make you think you can just do whatever you want whenever you want, and most games aren't like that.
You kind of can.
What, in Pikmin?
You basically can. You just got to be inventive enough, but it's
In-
probably
yeah.
possible
In Pikmin or Zelda?
in both.
Both, yeah, I'd say both.
Well,
Pikmin not quite as much. There's obviously built-in limitations.
there
There's some ways to skirt around them. Like for example, there was in the first area there's a blue Pikmin pod I was trying to get to, but I couldn't freeze the water and get over and have enough Pikmin to carry it because I couldn't get Ochi up there. So I only had, at the time only had 10 extra Pikmin. I needed 20, but I actually found there was like a little gate. You can't go past it, but you can throw Pikmin over it. So I went around the other side and I threw Pikmin over it and I carried it down to a place where Ochi could get to it. And so then I froze the water and I had Ochi carry it back. And it was kind of like, I could have waited until I had expanded my onion enough to where I could have brought out enough Pikmin, but I figured out a way to do it early.
You're now getting my brain thinking, like, because I did find the blue onion, but I have not seen any blue Pikmin yet. So it's like, if only I could find a way to get this. That way I don't have to wait.
100%ed the terrace before I left that area.
Maybe
it is definitely possible.
Maybe I gotta play around with my ice Pikmin a little bit more. All right, I know what my post podcast / pre bedtime mission is. It's to acquire that blue onion. So
Nice.
See what happens. But guys, if you don't know, Nate from Nintendo Prime, he's a YouTube channel that makes videos about games, mostly about Nintendo, but some occasional other things as well. That it's one of those things he may have covered this past week that may be related to what I was hinting at earlier, but I'll leave the mystery for later. But his channel is linked in the description below. Thanks for coming on, buddy.
No problem. I haven't been on. Has it been almost a year? It's been a long time.
Has it really been that long?
Can't have been that long,
Can't be
right?
that long. There's no way.
Definitely some months, but
It's been a long time. I have not guessed
maybe
it on
not in
anyone
this
else's
year.
show in forever. Well, you see, if it's maybe not this year, that's already like 7 months. So
I feel like it had. I don't know. You don't trust my memory.
yeah, I'm just saying I haven't been on anyone else's show in forever. I mean, maybe the chat knows. Maybe they got it. They'll be like, "Oh yeah, no, you were on this episode." I can't keep up.
I don't know.
But hi, I do YouTube things. For those who don't know me, I make videos. I'm really, really good at losing subscribers.
It happens. It happens to
Yeah.
the best of us.
My goal, I had an initial goal of getting to 150,000 subscribers. Then I realized I'm actually better at losing them. So now my goal is to get under 100K by the end of the year.
I think you will be succeeding.
Our
Keep it
reverse
up.
goal.
I'm well on my way to succeeding with that get under 100K goal.
Look, I diminished the purple a little bit. It looks a little bit more natural.
Oh, look
now.
at that. Oh, and he just did
Yeah.
it from his phone. Fancy over there.
It looks
I
less.
did it with my fingers.
There's some
And
hue lights over there.
And my phone, yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I did. I wasn't trying to be fancy. I was like, I just realized I can control the
It's
lights
only
with my
fancy
phone.
because out of everything that I've gotten, I don't have anything I can control with my phone on my set.
No, but you have one of those
Wow.
fancy little colored board things that have.
Yeah, but
like
I
buttons.
actually can't adjust the lighting while I sit here. It's weird. It's like the only thing I never thought about. I can adjust everything but the lighting. So I just kind of hope it looks good. And today,
looks
dude, it has
great.
me looking tan, so I'm looking great. I probably actually am this tan. I was out in the sun a bit today, so
There you go.
I touched grass, everyone.
See, I go
Wow.
out in the sun and then I just burn alive, and it doesn't tan.
I live in Miami, so it's hot, even at night.
I go
Yeah.
outside and it's 101, 102, sometimes 103 degrees, bro. It'd be like, feels like is over 115, and I'm like, I don't want to be out here. Screw this
We're about to
place.
have a hot
I'm going
week
back
here.
in. I'm going outside in Pikmin instead.
We're hitting triple digits like 3 days in a row here for the first time this summer.
That's crazy.
Oh no, yeah, we've been in the triple digits for weeks, bro. It's been brutal.
That has been.
I love it. Swimming weather, baby.
I just got a new air conditioner though, so I'm no longer sweating in my room constantly. I'm now just mildly warm during the day. Cold at night though.
Very good. Yeah, so let's just dive into things. I'm gonna check in with the chat here, and then we'll get into our topics. All right. So let's see. Diego Z. Castro Andres, roughly how many Korok seeds do you have? I don't know. I don't keep count. I ignore the Koroks because I want to use them for things like the Sky Train. Oh, by the way,
torture device.
By the way, I had that one stream
Crucifixions.
where I tried to build the Sky City, and I took some Koroks, but they slowly died over time. They spawned elsewhere.
Oof.
I actually built.
I'm just thinking of Korok slowly dying over time.
I built a Sky Train. I was joking about having a Sky Train throughout that entire stream. I built a Sky Train afterwards. So
Nice.
there may be a Sky Train stream at some point. And here's the beauty of the Sky Train. It can be used in the sky. It can be used on the surface, and it can be used in the depths. So if we want to build a Korok city in the dark depths, underground Hyrule, that may be possible. So, like, imagine, so you know, like in Xenoblade 1, when you go to the, I think it's Magna Forest, when you find the Nopon tree village, and it has like these like lights. Like, imagine building something like that underground in Tears of the Kingdom.
Bro.
It might
That'd actually be awesome.
I don't think we could build a tree. Well,
You could build a tree-like thing.
yeah. The thing is,
Figure it out.
I think
You got
we're
a lot of logs down there. Build a tree.
what gets challenging is that you can only attach something 20 times. You can only do 20 attachments at a time. So you can attach 21 objects together, right? Which is why sometimes people say it's 21, but it's attaching 20 times. I think you may be able to drop some objects on top of that. That might be, I haven't calculated that, so you might be able to drop like some luminescent objects to create some of that like sort of Nopon village like light potentially. And if you find, there are a lot of weird funky trees in the underground. So if you find one that's big enough, you might be able to get something going there. It won't be as big as what it is in Xenoblade 1, but you might be able to put something together with the Koroks that, yeah, I think you might be able to put something together that looks kind of cool. So, but I do not know, Diego, to go back to your question, I do not know how many Korok seeds I have. I've played the game differently this time, where collecting Koroks is not really, like, I'll do it, but if it's the backpack ones, I barely do it because I want to kind of just keep them. I might mark them on my map, or I'll just be like, I'll save it for later. So, I do have enough weapons, like, so I'm not really, I've done enough to have a good amount of equipment that I'm not thinking that I need to get more. Let's see here. Guys, if you could like the stream, it'd be very much appreciated. It would help it out so we can get the more people watching, get more people in on the discussion.
I suppose you want me to subscribe to the channel too, huh?
Have you not subscribed?
Suppose you want me to ring the bell too.
I have such strong doubt that you haven't been subscribed.
The funny thing is, you can check. There's a way, because if you go order your subscribers on the back by most subscribed,
Only if it's public though, right? Only if it's public though. Some people.
I think all my subscriptions are public. I think.
Mine are not.
Well,
Here, I'll hit the bell though. I didn't hit the bell.
oh well, I appreciate it. Now you're gonna get annoyed.
Dude, you're struggling to get videos out every day like I am right now. It won't be that annoying.
A video, yeah. I sometimes, the most days there's at
I've been
least one
struggling
video,
lately to get them out.
but occasionally I'll be like on Saturday I got up and I was like, oh, I need to make a video, but I have to move. Maybe I could take a break for a day. Maybe. The break was getting up at 8 and working on moving until 10 p.m. So for 14 hours straight. That was my break day. There was no break.
Yeah.
But we're good.
Yikes.
We're good. Sky Sword to Lisa. Hello there. They say everything looks and sounds good. Fantastic. Thank you very much. Giancarlo. I sad because I did all the regional phenomenon quests and shrines. I don't want to end the game. The game never ends. Maybe.
Game ends.
I mean,
when
it
you
does
want it
end,
to
but yeah,
There is an end.
there is an end. But the game is what you make of it, right? You can always find more to do. You can always find other things, other ways to challenge yourself to play the game. So, just keep going, or play Pikmin 4, and then come back. It's up to you. Let's see here. Okay. Matthew Bellarive. Hey, do you think there will be a new Donkey Kong 64?
Like, do they just mean a new 3D Donkey Kong game?
They said new Donkey Kong 64. Well, I mean,
What does that mean?
So, what does that mean? It means Donkey Kong 64 remade. Doesn't mean a spiritual successor to Donkey Kong 64. In other words, a 3D Donkey Kong platformer. I'd be okay with either. I think Donkey Kong 64 will probably never get remade. I mean, maybe never is a strong word.
Seems unlikely, though.
It just seems unlikely because it didn't review well. And there's not many N64 games that you would expect to get remade. So of the ones that might, it's probably not Donkey Kong 64. But you know, maybe. I do think that at some point though we will get a 3D like open, not open. Well, open would be great, but a platforming Donkey Kong game. I do think we'll get something like that. So if you mean like a new 3D Donkey Kong game, then yes. Will that be the Donkey Kong game that's currently in development, or maybe sitting on a bench somewhere in Nintendo's closet warehouse because it's been done for months? I don't know, but at some point in the future, I do think we will eventually see a 3D Donkey Kong game.
We all hope and pray and believe enough, it will happen.
Yes, you have to have a high degree of optimism in order for this to occur. But
Yup.
let me check in with a couple. Looks like we got a couple super chats here, or actually membership renewals and super chats.
Nice.
There's a super chat.
Yeah, and then we'll get into our first topic. All right, let's see here. That is not. There we go. I don't know why that happened, but all right. Cool. So, Nate Esqueca, thank you for renewing your membership. Been a member for 18 straight months. Nate says, Andres to the top. Hey. Okay. Oh, thank you. To the top. I don't know what would be the top, but we're pushing. We're not gonna stop. Thank you. Nintendo Prime. What? How are you in the chat and here at the same time?
Oh,
I don't
God.
It's
Just
like
clone.
I can
By the
multiply.
way, so you have been a member for 17 straight months. Can you imagine if you were not subscribed but you've been a member for like how was that? Is that even possible?
So,
I don't know.
as I have recently found out, you cannot become a member unless you are subscribed. But if you're a member and you unsubscribe, you will stay a member. So, I won't speak of how I know this, but there's a certain channel I'm still a paid member of every month that I haven't been subscribed to in 3 months.
That is interesting.
Huh.
Funny how that works.
Yep.
I'm sorry you're hungry, by the way. You know,
Yeah. Dude, I didn't eat lunch or dinner. I had a breakfast bar this morning. That's it.
Yeah, I didn't eat much either.
I'll be fine.
I'm-
I'll fast till tomorrow. Not a big deal. Well, I mean, sorry. I got the dinner of champions.
Whoa.
Oh, ho.
Whoa, Mountain Dew 0.
Yeah, 0.
0.
Dinner
It
champions.
tastes
no
like
calories.
garbage is what it tastes like.
Wow. Well, I'm sorry. I wouldn't drink the 0, but hey.
I would get up to get water, but it's too far away.
I got you can get up if you want to get water. I'm not going to stop you. So,
I will.
if
Reach
you
you
I
straight
need
and
water,
grab
get
you.
water. It'll only take a moment. Well,
That's all right. If I get desperate enough at how nasty this is, I'll text you, Yuli. I'll be like, hey, what are you doing? Make sure you're fully clothed when you walk in my office. Thank you.
Yeah, I don't want to get in trouble.
She knows I'm live streaming, but there's been
Okay.
instances while I was streaming, she was bringing me something, and she lifts up this back side of the curtain over here, and I was like, hold on, let me double check. Okay, you're just off camera. Please do not take another step.
Yes, be careful. Be careful.
Yeah.
But getting to the super chat here from Samuel A. Thank you very much for the super chat, buddy. Samuel A says, I think Twilight Princess and Wind Waker HD are not going to be released as a combo. Rather, both being brought to 4K separately for NG Switch starting next year. Thoughts? NG Switch, my brain, it's the end of the day for me. NG, that would be an acronym for not good. New gen. Next generation
Next
Switch.
gen. There
Switch
you
2, got it. Yeah,
Honestly,
okay.
I didn't get it either. I was like, NG.
Yeah. Okay.
So like a new code name people are.
Okay.
I'm getting used to
Spread
the
around.
NG because it not ever since it appeared in those Microsoft documents. I'm like, all right. Everyone's gonna start using NG everywhere.
Okay.
NGS everywhere.
Okay,
Yeah.
so that's where it's from. All right.
That's where it kind of started. Yeah.
But in terms of the question, Samuel, I think I'm not saying you're wrong because I don't know the answer, but I kind of feel that it really just kind of depends on how they're gonna handle it. Maybe they could be released separately, but I would think they'd be releasing, if not at the exact same time, within the same year. That's kind of my take on it. Now, if they're gonna, obviously, if it's gonna be 4K, it would have to be for the next generation Switch or Switch 2 or.
Although I wouldn't say it being 4K if it came out for the next Switch would mean that like it needs to be separate or anything, because I think that would just be an expected feature, like we expected 1080p on the Wii U and Switch.
Yeah.
We would just expect the 4K version on the Switch too.
Also, yeah, 4K wouldn't make that much of a difference because, I mean, it would be upscaled to 4K.
Yeah,
but,
not a lot.
Yeah, they would have to actually go back and make 4K textures as opposed to whatever it is for Wii U.
I mean, Wind Waker would probably look really clean, especially if they actually had like
DLSS.
Yeah, so there's like anti-aliased.
There's no denying that it would look better, but the difference would be
It's
subtle.
not gonna be like some huge difference.
No, like
I'd much rather see 60 FPS, honestly.
Yeah, 60 FPS would be a more significant improvement. I agree. And the other thing to consider is that unless we're talking about 5-6 years from now, they have to still account for the Switch audience, the Switch 1 audience, right? Like the CG Switch, current gen. That's what CG stands for. So I can't imagine that the 4K upscale would be the biggest feature of these games, because that wouldn't be possible on the base Switch. And I have to believe that those games would be coming on the base Switch, because that's where the most sales would come in from. And they're not the kind of game that would be like pushing next gen hardware, so it's not. I doubt that they would be exclusive. So
I kind of think it depends on when it comes out. Like if it comes out
right, exactly.
Like early on, like in the first year or something, then I could definitely see that. But if it's like the second or third year, I could see it just being exclusive. I think most games will probably be exclusive definitely by the third year.
Yeah,
I think it'll be a shorter period than other consoles.
Yeah. What do you think, Nate?
Look, I'm gonna be completely honest. I totally blanked for a moment there. My mind, maybe this is why I agreed to come on the podcast, because I knew I couldn't stream tonight. My mind just went totally blank.
All right, let me fill in that blank for you. Samuel thinks that for Switch 2, there's going to be a separate release for Wind Waker and Twilight Princess, not as a combo pack, each separately in 4K. What do you think?
Yes.
You agree that's what's happening?
Just straight up. Yep.
Okay.
I think they'll drop them for 60 each instead of 70.
Yeah.
But yes.
Okay. I'm gonna tell you what I think. It's a little different. I think that maybe they will be available separately, but there will be a combo deal you can get on the eShop. The same way how you get Pikmin 1 and 2 at a slight discount if you bought them together. Same deal. Not same pricing though. I think each game is going to be $35 for a total of $70. So as a bundle, it'll be $70, which would be expensive, but individually would be $35. And there will be a 4K version for Switch 2, but I think that it makes sense to have an improved version for Switch 1. So I think that the bigger draw is going to be 60 frames per second. And I'm actually thinking they might add something else minor, just because like you don't even have stamps for Miiverse, for example, or the Tingle bottles. So I think they might add some other little thing. Maybe it's just like Twitter integration, or rather X integration. I hate that they did that, by the way.
We're Zeeting now.
Screw. Oh my.
According to
hate life.
according to the Q&A page now, we're Zeeting.
See,
I don't.
hate life.
Does not compute.
Bro, I legitimately was like, "Where's Twitter on my
Anyways.
desktop?" I was like, "Did I not have Twitter open?"
It's not
Ah.
Did they change the icon yet on my? I don't think they've changed it on my phone.
On phones, no, but on desktop, yes.
On desktop, it changed. Yeah.
And it does. It looks horrible.
Anyways, I think you're wrong.
Yeah,
I
I
just
might
straight
be.
up think you're wrong.
I might be.
Like, here's why I think you're wrong. Nintendo likes to have something Zelda almost every year. They're
Sure.
gonna spread the games out. They're not gonna even come out in the same year. And they're gonna use 4K, 60 FPS, and the fact these are more popular games than Skyward Sword to realize they could sell 4 or 5 million plus of each on their own at $60. They could just get away with it, because I also think the new standard price for games is gonna end up being 70 anyways. So it's already gonna be considered cheaper than what they charge for new games.
Sure.
I think there will be a lot more $70 games, but I don't know if it will be the standard.
It will be across the board.
I think
like,
it'll be the standard for like their biggest games, like the new Mario's, the new
Yeah.
Zeldas, things like
I
that.
think
But I
Mario
think there will
Kart,
be,
like, yeah.
I think there will
another-
definitely be 60 and 50 titles still coming out.
like Pikmin 5. I don't think they would even attempt to sell that at 70. I don't think they do that with
No.
Kirby either. But then again, would they do it with like a Kirby in the Forgotten Land style game, but then just not with a side-scrolling Kirby?
I feel like they would do it with games that actually have like a high enough budget to warrant it. Because honestly, they could have gone away with charging 70 like a long time ago, and with a lot more games other than just Tears of the Kingdom, but they have not done that. I wonder if they will just do $70 games for their biggest projects, the ones that have the highest budgets.
I think Tears of the Kingdom was just an experiment. I don't even think it was about a budget. I think they wanted to see if $70 would hurt sales of a game they knew would sell well. Like if it would sell significantly less because of it. So like to put an example, if they release like a Mario Party and they think the Mario Party is going to be a 10+ million seller, well, that didn't have as much of a budget as other things, but they might just sell it at 70. Like I think it's going to be based on how many they think they can sell. Their lower selling IPs might stay lower priced. Higher selling IPs, high priced. Again, this is all hypothetical because they've only done it one game.
Yeah, it's very hard to say.
And like,
could
if
see
you
it
had
going either
told
way,
me
yeah.
that they were going to sell like Metroid Prime Remastered $40, I would have been like, what? Skyward Sword HD was not $40.
Right.
Yeah.
But Zelda versus Metroid.
Like,
That's why I feel like it'll still be like a case by case basis.
like Link's Awakening had some significant work, but that was full $60.
I still don't understand why Metroid Prime Remastered is $40. To be totally honest with you, like it still doesn't make any sense.
because it's a series that doesn't sell well.
Sure,
I mean, that's why.
But then they did.
That's exactly why. Zelda
Advance
sold
Wars
well.
was 60.
Sure,
That's totally
that's
true.
two
Why
games.
Was Advance Wars 60?
It's 2 games though. 2 games in
True.
one.
2 Game Boy
That's why they
Advance
did it. They
games.
view it as just $30 for each.
Eh,
Two Game Boy
That was
Advance
2 games. That was a 2 game.
yeah, like 2 GBA games.
Yeah.
Yeah, but those GBA games were $40 each back in the day.
No,
So
they
I
weren't.
technically,
Game Boy Advance is 30.
I don't know.
dude, they were $40.
No, they didn't. No.
I'm gonna check right now. I'm trying to look. I gotta remember to look for prices back then, not prices today.
Yeah, I think when the 3DS is by the time they were going up to the 40 range, but there may have been a case by case basis, but across the board, I think they were usually $30.
The chat's probably already owning my ass on this, but
I don't know about that. By the way, some people are bringing up that the chats were visible. The chat was visible. You're talking about I was showing the super chats that were visible intentionally. But I may have had it on for too long though. Speaking of which, Coaxy Jr. has renewed their membership for of 3 months. Thank you. I'm glad you're still around, Coaxy. And Nadasquoka has gifted a membership. Who took the membership? I gotta see this. Charles Stradell. Awesome. Very good. Thank you very much, Nate. Okay.
I literally cannot. The internet does not keep good tracks of things.
You can take my word for it. Or it's kind of hard to. Well, actually, can we? So, for example, Pokemon Ruby retail price. Would that be what I would need to look up?
Yeah, like that's what I'm typing in too, and it's not. It just keeps bringing me to prices on secondhand markets, and that's not what I'm talking about.
Yeah, it's kind of hard because. Let's see. What's another popular? Okay, here's another one. Well, I actually typed Pokemob instead of Pokemon. Metroid Fusion.
I wish they would just put it on these Wikipedia
release
pages.
Pricing. Oh god, it's really expensive. Now.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying though. And I'm like, I can't find pricing like back in the day.
I guess you just gotta take my word for it then.
You can take your word for it. Oh, hold on. Just gotta find a Game Informer magazine from back then. Find an ad for a 3DS game.
Why is it so hard to look up the initial
look up pricing? Like I've never had this much difficulty. You look up N64 pricing. You can find that. Why can't I find Game Boy Advance pricing? This is weird. Because I'm genuinely curious. I thought it went up to 40 then.
I mean,
I
Hold
totally
on, guys, I've made a breakthrough. Detective Woofles on Reddit says they're pretty sure most were $30, and I think that's the most credible source we're gonna find.
Some random user on Reddit.
It corroborates my information, and I think that's pretty legit if you ask me. So
apparently, according to somebody else, the GBA games changed. So like in 2001, they were like $45 to $50. They gave
I remember paying 40 plus for games.
But apparently in 2002, the prices did drop to like 30, and yeah.
All I remember is that
again, this is all
35, like red, green, leaf green.
Why isn't this information just out there? It's just all people remembering.
I remember.
Yeah, it's so weird.
Yeah, I'm gonna look up, here we go. A Game Boy Advance game ad. I'm gonna find an old magazine ad. Someone's gotta have a scan somewhere.
Yeah. I'll also say that DS games were $30. It was 3DS when they started going up to 40.
Okay, prices are all over.
But
according to IGN, game prices range from $30 to $40.
Yep. So I'm seeing 30. I'm seeing some listed at 30.
I think you guys are both right.
Well,
Yeah.
I mean, just for the record, I'm not saying there weren't any games that were priced higher, but I was talking about like the typical price for most games. I remember as a kid because I would be like, oh man, $30. It's feasible. I might be able to buy it, right? Like that was it.
I mean, if you want to be honest.
And then there were some that were
You're wrong.
Whatever
GBA
it takes.
came out for $100.
Once upon a time.
Yeah, well, $100 back then was worth a lot more. Just,
bro.
Yeah.
I remember they were selling
inflation.
GameCubes for $100 back then.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
But let's now.
This is
move on.
irrelevant to the conversation.
Right.
I guess.
Let's move the podcast along. That was our appetizer conversation debating Game Boy Advance pricing. You know what it is though.
Well,
Nice little retro.
I mean,
Just
it
to
all
put
came
a-
from Zelda pricing.
Sure.
Because I think Zelda's gonna be 60 plus, like they did for the last two of them.
I'm gonna put a cosmic cherry on this little topic we've created. This little tangent conversation. It may be the case that we're both right, and I don't mean in the sense that Brando was providing that there was a range and they fell somewhere within that range. I mean that in my past it was $30, and in yours it was 40. Because we were from different dimensions.
The multiverse.
Here we go.
There we go. All right.
Yeah, and some people in the chat are even saying, yeah, they were 40 for a while, and then they went to 30. All right.
So it's
So we were
like
both
the
right. It's
all
probably
about
what time
bears all
period
over
of
again.
GBA we remember.
Yeah, because I mean, the beginning of GBA was not like a thing for me.
Oh yeah, I was there day one.
I was not. So
we're both right. They drop prices over time. It happens.
there you go. All right. Which makes sense because I mean, yeah, game price. It's interesting to think that it changed during the generation though. They started higher and went lower. I wonder why.
I think they just were trying to probably boost sales.
Maybe.
I mean, I don't know because I
3DS
wasn't
launched for, way
I wasn't
higher than
covering
it
it like back then, but I
Yeah.
just feel like it had to be for sale purposes.
It's also weird that they pushed the DS out so quickly because the Game Boy Advance came out in 2001 and the DS actually launched in 2005. Holiday 2005. No. I
Quick
think
gen.
it was early 2005 actually, because they were already advertising Nintendo DS at E3 2004. Nintendo.
I don't know.
I do.
Maybe they just felt the pressure of the PSP.
Oh no, I was wrong. Holiday 2004.
They felt the PSP
Think
pressure.
about this
They
thing.
needed to get out.
Nintendo DS came out holiday 2004, and Game Boy Advance came out the year 2000 or 2001.
2001.
I thought it was 2001. It is 2001.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Game Boy Advance came out
March 2001.
Yeah, Game Boy Advance.
Early 20.
So basically, there was Game Boy Advance was out and the main handheld on the market for 3.5 years, and then they came out with the Nintendo DS, which is a very short window. But if you look at Game Boy Advance sales, hardware sales weren't even that bad. I think it was in the 60 range.
Well, initially the DS was supposed to be like.
Yeah, they were
a
supposed to
side
sell
thing.
them side by side.
Yeah.
But I
And then
mean,
they
we
just
all knew it
realized,
was
oh
if
my gosh,
DS
the
didn't
DS is
take
so
off, then we
popular.
still have Game Boy. We're good.
Yeah.
We all knew what they were doing. They were hedging bets.
First of all, it was backwards compatible. It could run all
It
the
was
games better.
Great.
It had better graphics. It could do more. It could go online. It had more technology. There's nothing about the DS that was like a tangential move. It was above and more. Like, yeah. I mean, we're all on the same page. Anyways,
It's kind of crazy that it sold 80 million though in such a short time. That's a lot.
well,
of units.
the Game Boy Advance was relevant for even during the DS era for a little while. Because remember the Game Boy Micro that came out after the DS came out.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
you mean that? Look, we just pretend it doesn't exist. I swear only 10 of them ever sold.
I don't know. I only saw them. But the screen was really good on it. Like, it was tiny, but it was like a really colorful screen for the time. Like, it was like a really high quality screen. But because it was so small, it's probably how they were able to get away with it. Anyways, Game Boy Advance history or false history, because I keep misremembering facts, out of the way. Let's move on with this conversation. So let's get into arguably the biggest topic in terms of news. I mean, all of it's debatable, because you can say Pikmin 4 is the biggest topic, but I was thinking we talk about the Zelda and Metroid stuff first, and then we'll get to Pikmin 4, and then we'll talk about my surprise Switch 2 stuff. It's only a surprise because I haven't told you what it is.
Surprise?
It's not really a surprise. You're gonna be like, yeah.
Technically, you didn't tell me any of the topics.
Yeah,
I just read the title. I know what the public knows.
Yeah.
Same.
Yeah, you'll be fine.
I said nice, organized topic lists with sources and information, talking points. Andres just says, "You want to come on the show?" Day of, I'm like, sure. And now I'm here. That was the end of the conversation.
Hey, at least the podcast happened. Okay, man.
You're here, aren't you?
At least the podcast happened.
Yeah, I've been there. I've been there like last minute, like, hey, Eric, are you coming over tonight? We got a podcast. You better be here.
It was tough. I wanted to take a nap today.
Dude, it's hard to pull them
I
together.
didn't get a nap either.
Yeah.
I am pumped for this week's podcast, but I'll talk about it at the end.
Yeah. So, but let's get into this Zelda Metroid stuff. So basically, Jeff Grubb had his last Nintendogs podcast, and if you don't know, Jeff Grubb is a journalist in the industry. He has a lot of contacts. He's got a lot of things right. When you say, "Oh, I heard this, I heard that," they're typically right. And even a lot of Nintendo stuff like Mario 3D All Stars, Pikmin 3 Deluxe. More recently, Metroid Prime Remastered. It was a big boy remaster, as he said, and it's about as big boy remaster as Nintendo's ever done. And now we're hearing about Metroid Prime 2 remaster of some sort, maybe not as much. Basically saying relatively soonish is when it's supposed to come. Which, I mean, I think a lot of us are kind of have our eyes peeled on a September Direct Shadow Drop. And he's also saying that something not related to Tears of the Kingdom, that is Zelda, is happening soon. So, what is that? There's a whole bunch of possibilities. And Brandon, because I haven't heard your thoughts on this, Nate has talked about his thoughts on his own channel. We actually did your podcast. We talked about this last week already.
Yeah, because it happened like right before the show.
Yeah. But we'll get to you. But Brandon, I want to hear your thoughts on this. What do you make of this something Zelda and this Metroid Prime 2 relatively soonish rumors? Like, what do you make of it? Do you believe it? Do you think it's feasible? What is the Zelda thing? Have at it.
I'm curious about the Zelda thing. You said soon. Does he indicate whether he thinks it's going to be this year or next year?
That
Or
was
does he just
that was the
assume?
implication.
Announced this year for sure.
Announced this year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. It's not Tears of the Kingdom related.
He does clarify to take it with a grain of salt, and he doesn't know what the Zelda thing is. You know.
Tells people not to go too wild with it because he literally doesn't know.
Yeah.
Like, so he's not promising brand new games or remasters or anything. It could be something as little as
Zelda Tamagotchi.
There's a new Zelda sticker pack added to My Nintendo or something.
Yeah, I doubt that. But yeah.
Yeah, I don't think he would have said anything.
I don't think he
Probably
would
not.
know. So my perspective.
I don't think he'd be told something like that.
Yeah.
Like
Nah,
it just.
probably not.
I'm gonna wrap up my thought. We're on the same page.
Sorry,
Brandon, you go. We can cut him off. It's fine. He just hasn't said anything.
I'm muting my mic.
I think it is very feasible that a Metroid Prime 2 remaster of some sort could come out. I do like the idea of that being shadow dropped in September. I don't know. It's just not anything that I would think is really beyond the only thing, or beyond what like we've thought of before. The only thing I'm confused about is this Zelda thing. Like, I thought maybe if there was going to be more Zelda content this year, it'd be like Tears of the Kingdom DLC, but obviously, this, as he said, it's not related to Tears of the Kingdom. So, I don't really see. I guess Wind Waker HD or Twilight Princess HD could come out this year, but I don't see why they would do that. I honestly don't know what kind of Zelda project. Maybe something 2D could be good to come out this year.
Okay.
I would like that.
This year? Okay.
Or at least announced.
Sure.
But yeah, I don't think it's gonna be like some. I don't see it being a 3D project, because I don't see what there would be that they want to launch in the same year as Tears of the Kingdom.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, yeah, it's tough. The thing is, like, I would guess, my first guess is like Wind Waker and or Twilight Princess, but I don't really see how it makes sense unless it's getting shadow dropped or coming out like in December or something. I don't really think it makes sense to even announce like a remaster in September if it's coming out next year. I think you just announce it in a February direct and it comes out April or March or something. Like, I feel like for a remaster like that, you don't even really need that much of a release to launch window, because this game's already been remastered. This is a port of a remaster, right? Like, maybe it has some improvements, but like in terms of like work being done, I would think this is even less work than what they did for Skyward Sword, because the work's already been done and released. So I'm just kind of skeptical that it will even be announced this year if it's that, but I don't know, I could be wrong. Nate, you can talk.
Are you sure?
Yeah, have at it. I'm trying to type up a poll here to see what everyone in the chat thinks.
Yeah, there's so many. So like, the Metroid stuff's pretty straightforward.
Yeah.
It's gonna be another remaster or whatever, some visual overhauls. Apparently not as intense as the first one, supposedly, but who really knows? Because we haven't seen it, hasn't been announced.
Sure.
He's pretty confident it's coming soon. He was careful not to say this year. But, Jeff Grubb isn't Nintendo. When he says soon, he typically means, within a few months. Nintendo can sometimes mean a year. So I don't really know. He speculated that it could happen at the Nintendo Direct in September, which he also said, hey, we're getting a Nintendo Direct in September, but that shouldn't be news.
Yeah,
of course, some people ran it as headlines because, of course, they did. But it's like
a thing that happens every year.
We've had one every September except 2020, and then we had literally the giant Mario event in September.
Is the sun gonna rise again tomorrow?
So like September, we've actually missed a couple Februaries for directs. September we don't. It's just every September. You just like clockwork. It was kind of like E3. You knew E3 was every June. There was a direct every September. So until that changes, we're getting a direct this September.
Even in 2020.
And we know they have games to advertise this holiday. So like, Clearly, they're gonna do a marketing campaign, and usually that one's exciting because again, you get more teases for the next year, and maybe we get to finally see what the Peach game is or whatever. But also, since we had the first Metroid game shadow dropped, he's sort of like, hey, maybe the second one just is shadow drop too. Sure, good. Can't say they can't do it because they already did it. It's interesting they're going to drop both this year, but you know, I think this is just further evidence of a roadmap they have internally that's leading up to the release of Metroid Prime 4 next year.
Yeah,
but we'll see on that, of course, because we got to see when is 3 going to come. Because I assume they're going to drop that again before 4.
Yeah, the timing of it's a little interesting. I do wonder if we even see Prime 4 this year. You know, it's interesting because Nate the Hate thinks it's coming up by the end of the fiscal year, but if we only get Prime 2 in this September Direct, and nothing else is shown, then that's pretty much out of the question. You know, so
the only thing I can think of is if they did show 4 and they still want to get 3 out ahead, if they drop 2 in September, maybe they're going to do like they did with Pikmin, where they kind of rushed Pikmin 1 and 2 out the door.
Yeah.
Maybe 3, they just like drop it in January while they're starting to make a push for
I mean, let's say Metroid Prime 4 is meant to be one of the bigger titles for next year, right? Like, I know we have some debate on the sales thing, but like they even try to treat Xenoblade with some level of respect, where it'll have a fairly large...
they respect it.
Yeah, they're gonna give it respect. They're gonna maybe give it a nice marketing cycle that's more than 3 months, right? So maybe they have like the unveiling.
I mean, we only have like a month for Zelda, so I'm just gonna say I'm not gonna say 3 months for anything right now.
Well, okay, but we at least had multiple trailers before the blowout, right? My point is simply that we may at least get that unveiling trailer. We actually get to get our first true look at the game, right? Maybe they're quiet on it for 6 months or so, but we get our first true look maybe in the September Direct. That's Metroid Prime 2. Then maybe in a February Direct they announce Prime 3, and then they can give us another Prime 4 trailer then, but then they confirm the release time, the actual release date. Maybe this September Direct they just say 2024, and then next year, early on in the year, they give us Prime 3 and said, hey, this is coming out August or something.
Yeah.
You know?
I keep thinking, like, if Nate the Hate was right, that it comes up for the end of the fiscal year, that means it has to come out by March. So then they would need to basically announce it now. So then they can start advertising it for March, and then technically they could still shadow drop Metroid Prime 3 in February at a February Direct if they wanted.
They could.
It almost would be expected at that point.
Yeah, that or they could just have Prime 3 come out between the directs, right? Like they could announce Prime 2 to come out in September and say, hey, Prime 3 is coming out this December. Yeah. You know,
I mean, there's nothing saying they can't announce all of it here.
Yeah. I don't know. I did say I wanted to say someone had reached out to me on Discord and pointed out that apparently Hallmark has some
ornaments.
Metroid. Yeah, you heard about this? Some Metroid ornaments. And I haven't looked into this yet, right? But like this, I heard the speculation that maybe that the ornaments would tie into some sort of holiday release. I think that's unlikely at this stage, right? Like, there's
someone who used to work at a Hallmark store, they didn't ever really seem to be tied to anything. They just have random Nintendo ornaments every year, and like a lot of them are refreshed. Like I think the ones coming out this year are actually ones they did like 10 years ago.
Yeah. No, I mean Metroid Prime 2, you know, that's something, right? Like, you know, maybe.
Oh yeah.
You know, and especially if Nintendo wants to do like a little bit of marketing when Prime 2 comes out leading to the holidays. Hey, Metroid Prime 1 and 2 are available on Switch. Buy it now. And, you know, they may get a little bit of boost going into the holidays. And maybe they have some merchandise out there, some marketing out there. Nothing super substantial. I think we agree that they're not expecting to sell like 5 million from these things. But, you know, something. But going to the Zelda thing, it's tough. It's tough. By the way, guys, I put out a poll. So if you're just listening and you're not watching the chat, there is a poll.
Yes.
And
in the poll, I voted for it to be a non-Zelda game thing. Even though, I'm going to be honest, if Grubb heard about it, it makes me kind of feel like it's probably a game thing.
Same.
But there are some things floating out there. One that everyone screams at me, the Zelda movie, that I just don't think is likely right now, not with the strikes going on.
No.
I just don't see them announcing that right now. If the strikes are over before then, fine, but they would already be making their plans at this point. So I would presume that might get held back if they were going to announce that. And by the way, that's assuming that's even their next movie anyways. Weren't we already hearing about Donkey Kong before that? So, I mean, the Zelda movie could literally be like 5 years off. Like they probably wouldn't even talk about that yet unless that was something coming in the next year or two.
We don't even know when the next Nintendo movie is going to be. Could be years.
Well,
we do know that there's going to be a second Mario movie. Chris Pratt told us.
Yeah, we have no idea when that would be.
No, it was in his contract basically. So
Mario
it's like,
movie,
there's going to be
spoiler,
more.
But if you watch the Mario movie basically tells you there's going to be another Mario movie. So
what, a movie that went to almost 1.4 billion in the box office is having a sequel? No. What are we talking about? It's the biggest movie of the year. It's literally so far the biggest movie of the year.
You want to know what's crazy? What's crazy? If we go by Despicable Me patterns, the next Mario movie could do even better.
Yeah,
that's
possible.
That's crazy. It's totally crazy.
But, so I don't think it's going to be that. I just don't think it's coming out anytime soon. Plus the strike happening. People have floated the Zelda Lego things out there because it is something we know exists behind the scenes. I got a copyright strike on my channel from Lego over it. So like we know that it's real. They are working on Lego Zelda.
This is why they keep not doing all the crowd-funded Lego ones.
And
that website where you can
they're starting to let the Zelda fan Lego sets start making it to the final vote, even though they're never going to win.
Yeah,
but it's because I think they're fishing ideas. They're fishing ideas from.
I'm pretty sure that they are just. I think they do win like the player votes, and they're just like, we can't do that.
Yeah, we can't make yours. But
we can't make yours. We have our own.
We might take your idea. Like there was a great Deku Tree that made it to the final vote like 3 years ago, and suddenly I got copyright striked for a Great Deku Tree Lego set that leaked. So,
but the
thing is, it can't be
the Wild or something else. The Deku Tree.
So the Great Deku Tree one, you could build it in two ways. You could build it as an Ocarina of Time one, or you could build the Great Deku Tree from Breath of the Wild. And it makes me think that wouldn't be it, because that Great Deku Tree is also in Tears of the Kingdom, and he was very specific that it wouldn't be related to Tears of the Kingdom. Now he didn't go into like tangentially related or something, because that could be a tangentially. It's the Breath of the Wild.
When that happened, we didn't know what the status of the Deku Tree was in Tears of the Kingdom. Now we know. Don't want to spoil it for anyone, but
he's in the game. I already did. Like he's in the game. I'm not gonna tell you how you figure it out, but he's in the game.
He's in the game. Yeah, so
might be dead, but he's there.
May or may not be dead. We're not gonna tell you what his status is or what ends up with him, but the character does exist.
It's really weird too, because a very early memory is tied to it, and it's very easy to just not get that memory.
Yeah, it's not. Yeah, I mean, that's Zelda for you nowadays. You can do a lot or a little without doing anything.
But so it could still be Zelda Legos, because if they were working on that set, they're working on others. So it could be a different set that comes out. Maybe it's a Ocarina of Time set that comes out, or something like a Hero of Time set or something. Or it could be whatever. It could be anything. But what I do find interesting is if it's not that, because that's maybe the one likely thing I could see where, maybe that is what whoever told them from Nintendo, like, hey, something's Zelda and it's not Tears of the Kingdom related. But the fact that they brought up Tears of the Kingdom is just kind of like, so you're specifically bringing up a video game and saying something Zelda's happening, but it's not related to this video game. We're basically saying it's not DLC, which also makes me wonder if there isn't DLC, or at least none announced this year, which is fine, by the way. Like Elden Ring didn't get DLC announced for a long time, so like you don't have to have DLC right away just because we got it right away.
I almost would prefer them to do, if they do Tears of the Kingdom DLC, like don't even give us waves, just give us like one expansion adventure, like treat it like kind of like, think of it this way.
Wait for the Switch 2.
Like the Blood and Wine DLC for Witcher 3. They just one massive DLC at once.
Yeah. Basically treat it almost like a second game, you know? Like, so think of it like this. Like, imagine if Ocarina of Time came out during today's standards, today. And then they had announced a major DLC expansion like a year later, and it was for Majora's Mask. Because Majora's Mask is not that long.
I don't know if Nintendo would do that. I can't say that though.
Okay,
I don't know. I keep saying that, but then I think of things like the Xenoblade DLC, and I'm like, no, those are pretty hefty.
Yeah,
DLCs.
like it's if you rush it, it's 20 hours.
It's
you know?
not impossible that they could add like a whole game, basically.
Yeah, I'm not a game as big as Tears of the Kingdom,
Well,
but
no,
maybe
no.
something that can take you 20 to 40 hours.
Yeah, conceivably.
Yeah, but maybe Majora's Mask is not a great analogy because that's like a true whole Zelda game, but it's also one that can be completed relatively quick if you know where you're going.
And they made it in a year. So like it kind of fits the whole a year to make DLC. Hey, we made it in a year. Look what we did. Also, we probably made a lot more money not making it DLC, but that was back in the day.
Yeah, it's a good point from Brandon too. Is that we reuse all the same assets, so it's actually,
well, not all the same.
Well, a lot of reused assets.
We needed that expansion pad. Don't forget, required. It had to have that extra RAM.
Yeah.
No, even though I voted that way, that was just me being kind of playing coy because it could be that. But even they immediately went into game speculation, which kind of makes me just sort of feel like even he's sort of getting the hint that it's probably something game related, but doesn't really know what it is. And that's why you really wanted to clarify, hey, it doesn't mean it's coming out this year. Okay, so if they announce a new top-down Zelda game, it doesn't necessarily mean it's releasing this year. It could still be next year. Because, you always get the people that are coming like, oh, they can't release two things in the same. I'm like, one, yes, they can. They've done it actually several times.
Yeah.
But that's besides the point. It's also, hey, maybe they want to pair something else with Mario for holiday sales because there's Detective Pikachu ain't going to probably be the one pushing. They're going to need, they could argue they want something else in there because maybe just having side-scrolling Mario in a old game remake, maybe that's not enough for them. Maybe they want to throw something else in. Or maybe they just want to remind you, we still have more crap coming in 2024.
That's what I think it is.
It's not just Peach. We got other games. Don't worry. You're getting a Zelda next year. Or it could be remasters. It could be whatever. The door is so wide open to what it could be that all I know is I hope that somebody gets him to make some sort of bet on this announcement before the end of this year.
Yeah.
Because he had that with Metroid Prime Remastered and had to cut his hair.
Yeah.
But he was actually right that it existed the whole time.
Here's my prediction. You ready? All right. So, it could go a few different ways. Right? If it's Twilight Princess Wind Waker HD, I predict that it's not even getting announced this year. And he's just hearing about it because it's getting close. And it's gonna be announced maybe.
I hope he's watching. He'll get so mad at you. He doesn't even want people bringing those games up. I think that's why he was saying if you overhype yourself because he knows people are gonna go to that. Because he's heard about those games already and he got roasted.
Right. Well,
because they never got announced. It never came out.
Yeah. Well, I'm just saying that with those, I just if it's those games, I don't think it makes sense for them to be announced in a September Direct. Like, why would you do that if they're just ports of remasters? Why announce them in September Direct? They're not coming out this year.
But imagine it's only a Twilight Princess one they announce, and it's only like a little 15-second snippet, and we know it is. It's got the quotes, and we hear Midna, and all of a sudden, it shows a peak of a visual that reminds you of the Wii U tech demo instead of, and they just leave it at that.
Bruh.
And go 2024.
Bruh.
I'd cry.
That'd be so hyped.
That would be beyond. I'm sorry, they're not. There's no way, but that would be insane to be like, wait, no, they're actually using the tech demo visuals.
I would cry. And for Zelda theorizing, it'd actually be very exciting too because
that would be great.
One, it would open the door for a little bit more extra material being put into there. Even if it's not actual new like explorable content, it might just be some visual changes that could give us hints. Like, for example, this is something I think is overlooked in the Zelda theorizing community. Because when we talk about Tears of the Kingdom in terms of the timeline stuff, what a lot of people bring up is that you see the Rito early on in the memories, and that would suggest that because Wind Waker takes place in the future, and the idea is that the Rito evolved from the Zora. And if you see these memories, it seems to suggest before the events of Ocarina of Time, then it seems to be contradictory. But if you play Twilight Princess HD, they added a detail in there, which, by the way, was done during the development of Breath of the Wild, where the Rito were re-implemented. There are Rito depicted in the Miros in Castletown in Twilight Princess HD. So they kind of changed around the history to where Rito existed throughout the times, way before the events of all that other stuff.
There was also Tantalus that did that, not the Zelda team. There was no one from the Zelda team that worked on the game.
You don't think it was greenlit?
I don't think they even saw before they sent the game. Like I don't think anyone on the Zelda team just played through all of it and would even notice a detail like that, because that would mean they actually have to admit they care.
I do think they care.
I don't think they care at all, man.
I think they care.
How many times do they have to, like, literally Hyrule Historia was like forced out of them.
Listen, I think they care. Maybe not. I think it's not the number one priority. Gameplay is the number one priority, right? But that doesn't mean you can't have other priorities. And if they didn't care, I don't think they would take the time to have references to different pieces of history. I don't think the Imprisoning War would have even been a talking point in Tears of the Kingdom if they didn't care about the history of Zelda. The Imprisoning War is a piece of Zelda history from long, long ago. Like if they didn't care, they would not have even entertained that as a concept in Tears of the Kingdom, but they did. Not saying that they're going to abide by every little detail, that there aren't going to be any retcons, that there aren't going to be some inconsistencies, but I do think there is a plan. I'm not saying it's a foolproof plan, but there is a plan. There is a thought process. I don't know how deep it is, but it's more than just nothing.
Yeah, I've always been of mind, and covering the Zelda series all the time, and watching them literally talk about the timeline over the years and just literally moving games around. Like just, oh, this game is here, and then 2 games later, nope, now Eiji Aonuma said the game's over here. Like they would just move it themselves, showing me that they're not really caring, but because people keep asking them on something that contradicts, it'd be like, oh yeah, no. Now Link to the Past isn't a prequel anymore. It's now a sequel game. We're like, wait, what? Doesn't make any sense. Oh, Minish Cap is not here. Now Minish Cap's over here. It's interesting, just having covered that for so long and covered all those damn interviews, that I'm like, I think this is all an afterthought to them. They just trying to make good games, and if it happens to connect, it happens to connect. I'm not saying they forget about Zelda history. Obviously, like they knew about the Imprisoning War. Also, the Imprisoning War has never really been fully explained. It's just been referenced, so they can do whatever they want with it.
Yeah.
And again, we'll probably have this conversation on my podcast this week about going more in depth on that, because I know you disagree with me on this.
No, the Imprisoning War that happens to Tears of the Kingdom, I don't even think it's the same.
Even the same one, yeah.
No, I don't even think it's the same one.
It's very clearly not. Yeah. If you look at the old explanation of the old one, like none of it lines up or makes sense.
There's a lot of room for debate, which I think is intentional. I think they want us to talk about this. I think they intentionally leave things ambiguous because it just stirs up conversation. They kind of leave it to us to kind of fit in the plug in the holes, right? That's just part of the fun. I think
they just take the timeline and then just make it work for whatever they want to do.
I think they're brilliant geniuses, where they really don't care about it, but they know the fans do. So they can never act like they don't care. And now they're just super coy. Oh, it's 10,000 years. After what? After everything. It's just 10,000 years. Okay. Man, why do we have the Rito and the Zorda? You know what? Hey, it just happens. It's been 10,000 years. You don't have to worry about it. What's with this game? It's been 10,000 years. Why are you worrying about it? Like, it's like they're every time they're asked about the timeline over the last 15 years, they just don't even want to talk about it. And I think a lot of it's just because they will never deny it, because they know fans care. They just personally, internally, are probably laughing every time people get mad about it. Like when they invented the third timeline split out of like nowhere, and everyone was getting all angry, and they're just like, this is why we don't try to do this. This is why we don't make the timelines, because you know what? People get pissy. We're just going to let them make it. Like, I think Hyrule Historia taught them, we can't tell people where games go anymore. We just have to let them do their thing.
Yeah. I think no matter what, people are going to disagree. It's always going to be, it's always going to be split.
There's people that think Hyrule Historia doesn't count. So.
Yeah. Well, I mean, to that end, when you read Hyrule Historia, it talks about how like the Zelda timeline is a compilation of legends, and it's basically when it's written, it's the understanding of Zelda history or Hyrule history at that moment. And as we progress and make more discoveries, our understanding of how these events fit upon the timeline will change. So it basically canonizes retcons. You know, like, oh,
Yes.
that's why one game 10 years ago we thought was here, but actually it happened 100 years in the past.
When you
right?
brought up that quote in your video, talking about the contradictions and stuff, I haven't finished watching the video because I was still in the middle of trying to beat the game at the time. Yeah. But I that quote you brought up, and I sat there and I'm like, they even put it in the damn Hyrule story, letting you know we're just kind of making it up as we go, and here's our get out of jail free card every time.
No, yeah, I definitely feel like they make like the concept that they want to go for the game, like the gameplay and everything, and then they go, huh? Now how can we cram this into the timeline?
I mean, they just straight up said it in the Ask series for Tears of the Kingdom that they just built the game and tacked the story on after. So I'm like, well, okay.
That's how it's always done.
I know, which to me means the story is sort of an afterthought rather than like a main focus for them.
Yeah, and despite that, I think it's hard to say if I'm in the minority because it's hard to quantify because there's so many different opinions. Yeah. But I'm in the camp that, listen, they give me the games, they give me the lore, and I just try my best to fit it. And
it's fun to do it.
That's why I do it. It's fun. It's a puzzle. Is it maybe an impossible puzzle? Sure. Sure. You have to make.
You'll never know the right answer.
But then that's part of the fun. Yeah. Right? Now, some people think it's a reboot, right? And you can make a valid argument for that. Some people think they just don't care. You can make a valid argument for that. Like, I think it's whatever you make it. No one's really wrong. It's just whatever you make it. So, that said, going back, by the way, if it is the tech demo, but as a whole game for Twilight, oh my god.
I know. Bro. I thought it was, I sat there and I'm like, they know how many people went nuts for that, and it's been a while. Yeah. You just wonder if they're like, this is why we haven't got it yet, because the Wind Waker got the full treatment. Twilight Princess, they kind of got the afterthought treatment.
Well, I know what's interesting about the thumbnail that I made for today, right?
That's what made me think of it too, is because you used it.
And I put it side by side with Samus from Prime Remaster, because I was trying to allude. I mean, I actually just did it because, like, hey, Zelda, Metroid, like that was just, it wasn't anything deeper than that, right? Sure. But interestingly, we do have a scenario where part of the rumor probably means Metroid Prime 2 Remastered, right, which is a sequel to that Prime 1, which looks amazing, and then something Zelda, which could be related to Twilight Princess or Wind Waker or Ocarina of Time. We've speculated that Wind Waker probably not, but if it's not Ocarina of Time, I think it is. I would entertain Twilight Princess getting remade. Like, if there's another game that makes sense to be remade, it's that one. And like, what if it is something like that? And if it is something like that, I'll pay $70 for it, even if that's too much money. Like, it won't be as valuable as Tears of the Kingdom. It'll be a smaller, shorter game, more simple. But if they overhaul the visuals like that, I would still do it. Maybe I shouldn't say.
I already know that it doesn't matter what they price Zelda at. I'm gonna buy it anyway.
Yeah, that's the problem,
so,
man.
It's kind of like if it's at 70, I'm like, dude, they could be 100. I'd probably still buy it.
Well, I mean, if they price,
they can't price me out.
They can, depending on what it is. For me, so for example, Twilight Princess.
I mean, it's just an N64 version ported over native. Yeah. Okay, cool. I'm not even gonna buy that.
Right. That's what I mean. Like, but if it's some sort of like significant new core centric Zelda content, I'm about to sneeze.
Unless they're coming out with
you visual overhaul, I'm gonna buy it no matter what. I mean, that's my big thing. Even if it's just a minor one, I'll probably still buy it. But I would prefer it not to be minor. I would rather, like, Wind Waker felt like it had way more work done to it. It's ironic, too, because Wind Waker felt like it needed the least work done to it.
I think it did get the least work. All they really did with Wind Waker was add some, like, post-processing stuff. I think they changed the way the lighting works somewhat. And then they put it in 1080p.
So they did a whole new lighting system. They replaced every character. It's all new character models. They replaced the entire lighting engine, which is obvious. And not only did they take a widescreen, they also added in a first-person mode that didn't exist. And then they did what I think is a negative thing, where they ripped out the Tingle Quest and replaced it with Tingle bottles, which I think is a downgrade. But
we don't have either.
Yeah.
Potential
Well, I
Yeah.
mean, in
Switch
terms
version.
of visuals, mostly though.
Maybe repurpose.
I
the Single
think in terms
Quest.
of visuals, Twilight Princess HD definitely got a lot more work. I mean, they reauthored like pretty much every texture in the game.
They upresed the textures.
No, they were reauthored. They don't even look the same at all.
Mm. We're gonna agree to
They're literally
disagree.
not the same assets.
I don't want to
They've
get
been
into this
upresed.
debate because this is like a really old debate between these games. So I'm just gonna say I agree to disagree.
Fair.
Regardless, you know, it would be. I think we all agree that if they were to do a remake, it makes more sense to remake Twilight Princess than it does to remake The Wind.
Oh yeah.
Unless we're talking
There's
about
pretty much
entirely.
no point to remaking
I mean,
Remaker.
if we're talking about redoing an entire art style, like it wouldn't be cel shaded anymore, which probably would take away from what the Wind Waker is. So I wouldn't even really want that. Wind Waker is kind of timeless. So, but let's check with the chat here. I see we have at about 49 likes. That's awesome. I see have about 80 people watching. Guys, if you could like the stream. If we could somehow get to 100 people watching, that would be amazing. Liking the stream would be very much helpful. So if you're watching, please do so. It would help out. Checking with the poll, though. I asked, what is the Zelda thing? Hopefully you guys understood that I meant not Tears of the Kingdom related, because that's the topic. And of the 4 options, here are the 4 options. I put non-Zelda game thing, Zelda spin-off or other game thing, 2D/top-down Zelda thing, or Wind Waker and or Twilight Princess. In last place, it's still going. So as you hear me talking, if you want to change the fates of these options in the poll, Zelda spin-off or other game thing is in last place at 18%. At 19%, just a smidge above, is a 2D top-down Zelda. Then at 25%, pulling its weight literally, a non-Zelda game thing. So in other words, nothing related to a game. Is what this supposed thing is. It's at 25%, and then the winner, clearly, it could change, but I doubt it will, is Wind Waker and or Twilight Princess at 37%. That is a hefty difference. You know, sometimes the simplest answer is the answer. I think we may lack a lot of variables here, so I'm not sure. I think that, I mean, it really just depends on what they're doing. I think if there's going to be something, if it's something new, I can see a top-down Zelda or a Zelda spin-off being announced in a September Direct, to, as you said earlier, Nate, to kind of like showcase, hey, there's some new stuff coming next year. And it might be the kind of thing that would work well. They very much kind of like the Peach game, the Luigi's Mansion remaster, like the 2D Mario. Like these things probably wouldn't be like a huge power. It wouldn't be like a visual showcase for the system necessarily. It wouldn't scream, hey, we need more powerful hardware. It could be like a solid like first half of the year kind of game, and to kind of help, you know, carry us over until we get into the second half. That's what I could kind of see. Wind Waker and Twilight Princess also fit that category as well. Really anything beyond the major Zelda would do that, or a major remake. And I guess kind of considering like how the Tears of the Kingdom just came out, I'm kind of skeptical that it's Wind Waker or Twilight Princess. That's just my take.
Yeah.
I think they can be announced next year. Now, what this means for Tears of the Kingdom DLC, I don't know. I think that maybe there is something to the idea of us waiting for the next system for that DLC, if even then. They may just be getting ready for the next game because they realize, oh snap, the next generation's starting, and we're not even close to having a Zelda out. So we got to get started now so it comes out before the very end. So that might be what they're thinking right now. Any other thoughts, guys?
No.
Sweet, we've exhausted this topic. We can now move on to the next topics. Before I do, shout-outs to Chrono Rig for renewing their membership. Been a member for 9 months. Thank you very much, buddy. Glad to have you around. But let's, I'll check a couple things in the chat, and then we'll move on here. Samuel Adamy, do you think Gress's 2D Zelda is a new one? I do. I mean, I don't know. I don't know. I don't even know if Gress is working on a Zelda game. So, but I would, if I had to guess, I would guess that Gressel was going to make a new Zelda game, or if they're going to remake any, it would be a Link Between Worlds. I don't think they're going to remake Oracle of Ages or Seasons or Minish Cap soon. What's my reasoning behind that? I just feel like a Link Between Worlds is still a relatively recent game. If they were to like remake it for Switch, it would go over really well with the fan base. It would still feel like a pretty. I mean, granted, the Link's Awakening was remade. That kind of feels like a new game to an extent. So they can remake any and it'll be fine. But I think a Link Between Worlds is one of the best 2D Zeldas. So
it's my personal favorite.
I think it would.
So I would
be
be really happy with a remake.
Yeah, and it already has like it already has 3D visuals. So it's more of a solid blueprint than the other ones. That said, I would like them to just
pretty
make it
well with a remaster, actually, compared to most 3DS games.
Yeah, it would. That kind of scares me, but just because
I'm just saying it would. It might actually be okay. Like it might look good.
It would look fine.
So if it looks good, then it's
fine,
whatever. You don't need to remake it.
I want more done.
You want more done?
Yeah.
Yeah. See, but that's also why I think like the Oracle of Seasons and Ages, is something that would be nicer if it got remade to come back, because like Link's Awakening, it felt so great in my opinion. It felt so great because, hey, this game is ancient and it's never looked this good. And I think when you deal with Link Between Worlds, well, you can argue, upping that in the HD and bringing it over, which by the way, Gressel's done like Miitopia and stuff like that. So it's not like they couldn't port it over and make it look decent. You could also go, yeah, but also we could argue it might have been better on 3DS because we had the 3D aspect ratio that we don't have here. And I'm not saying that was like a big selling point for me, but it was a big part of that game's design, and they argued it as a selling point. I just think that like Oracle of Seasons and Ages is sort of like forgotten Zelda games, not forgotten by the hardcore, but like the general Nintendo audience, I don't think is even aware those games exist.
Do you think
they would almost feel like new releases?
Two releases like they did before, like the Pokemon style, where it's like two different.
Well,
games?
yeah, they would do a dual release because while obviously they are separate adventures, they're in the same land, and that's what they originally were, was a dual release. So I think they would stick with that.
See, I was really thinking the same thing. I think they will do that eventually, but they are supposed to come out with both the Oracle games on NSO sometime. So it seems weird that they would have those kind of in the background to release and then just release straight up remakes around the same time.
What if it's announcing Zelda 38 for the 38th anniversary?
Zelda
and
38.
It's like Mario 35. It's just old school Zelda racing through dungeons.
I don't understand why they would do 38, but sure.
I don't know why either.
That would be weird. Yes.
To be fair, I don't understand why they do most of the anniversary. Like we did 25, then we did 30, and then everyone's like, "Oh, we're gonna do something for 35," and technically they did do something for 35. Yeah. Not what people wanted, but they did recognize it and do something.
Yeah.
And I don't really understand why it's every 5 years. Like when we're getting to the point that it takes 5 years to make a Zelda game, 6 years to make a Zelda game. You're just saying every Zelda game is a party for the whole series. Like I don't know. I feel like once you reach a certain age, I'm going to tell you something. When I turned 35, it wasn't something that I felt like was a special celebration. Now it's like now it's only the decades that matter. So like when I hit 40, that's sort of a bigger birthday celebration than 35 was.
It's all a way to make money. It's all like, hey, it's just get hyped. It's the anniversary. It's incredible.
Yeah, random year of Luigi out of nowhere. It's just the year of Luigi. My Luigi stuff.
Most anniversaries are just a repurposing of old content too. It's usually not new stuff. There's some exceptions.
But the problem is Zelda has something come every 5 years. So when you celebrate every 5 years,
right? Yeah. Yeah, but let's move on. Right, I'm gonna end the poll.
Yes, sir.
Let's talk about Pikmin 4. So, Pikmin 4, it's been out, right? You've been playing it. You're enjoying it on your Switch there, or Switch 2 with GameCube Joy-Cons, and Yeah, I mean, I think it's pretty good. Some people are even entertaining the idea it's better than Tears of the Kingdom. I don't really know if that's a fair thing to say. I haven't been in the game. And I think for some people it should be, because everyone has different likes and dislikes. People have preferences. For some people, it will appeal more. Now, I do think objectively, Tears of the Kingdom should probably be considered a better game across the board, just because it's like probably the best game of the year. But I don't even like really breaking it down like that, because I don't want to insult Pikmin 4. It's a special experience.
Yeah.
It's a unique experience. And in some ways, maybe you could argue that Pikmin 4 may feel like more of a fresh experience, because Tears of the Kingdom is really building off of Breath of the Wild, while Pikmin 4, Pikmin 4 feels more different. Put it this way. Pikmin 4 is more different than Pikmin 3 than Tears of the Kingdom is in Breath of the Wild, which is intentional, because Tears of the Kingdom is a direct sequel to Breath of the Wild, building off that story. Pikmin 4 is kind of like, it is the modern generation. It is this generation's Pikmin. So, it should feel more fresh and new. And it's a fantastic game. It's really good. It's kind of impressive just how many little things they've done to kind of improve the gameplay for the Pikmin series.
Yeah.
There's just, like, for example, the cursor. It's just a lot more snappy and easier to control now than ever before. Like, it locks onto things naturally. Like, they really fixed that up. They came up with a nice flow, I think. I've talked about the visuals before. Like, visually, the game is just...
looks great.
The environments are so varied.
Really
it looks fantastic. Good. The lighting's incredible. Being able to move around the camera so much, where you can see so much more of the world. You can still pull out for standard top-down Pikmin gameplay, but you can also pull in as the default option, and it feels more like a third-person adventure game. And you can see these beautiful vistas and go off into the distance a little bit and find different treasures. The Pikmin have smarter AI now. Ochi makes controlling everything a lot more...
Ochi is great.
Streamlined. I love just pressing X and just sending out hordes. Like, it's just such a better, easier way to control your different groups and attack and collect things more quickly than before. So the flow of the game is just better. Visually, the game is better. There's more variety. There's more things to do. Like, there's caves. There's a nighttime gameplay, which I haven't gone to, but you can go inside houses now. Like, there's a lot. Like, this game just feels like a very well-rounded, complete version of Pikmin. This feels like they've taken everything from the Pikmin series and they've brought it together, incorporated some new elements, and made it something that is going to really appeal to a lot of people. And it's appealing to me, and I want to play more. I've only put in maybe 5 or 6. Oh, if I count for the demo, it's been more. I put a chunk, but as I explained earlier in the podcast, I haven't even gone to the nighttime gameplay segment yet, because I've been kind of trying to focus on what I have so far. But yeah, I can't wait to play more. It's been amazing.
Yeah, I think people that think it's better than Tears of the Kingdom, you're probably right for yourself. I'm very careful in throwing around the word objective, like, oh, Tears of the Kingdom is objectively better. Is it? If you don't like that kind of game, then it sucks for you. So it's not really objectively better. It's subjective, because it's all about enjoyment. And the only weird thing I feel like while I'm playing Pikmin 4 is it feels like a better game than any of the prior Pikmin so far. Now, it's too early in the game for me to come to a definitive conclusion. We got to see how it goes. Now, I know all about the content promise and how much is supposed to be in here and how it's supposed to be so much bigger, and it probably is, because a couple reviews I read basically said it is. I'm trying to find, as I'm playing, I'm trying to find things to nitpick, and I can't find anything yet. And that's weird to me.
I got one thing to nitpick.
I found something, yeah.
Too much tutorial dialogue.
Oh, yeah, that's a big one.
But what about, well, let's say for new players, they might need that dialogue.
I mean,
some of it. It's quite excessive.
It's a lot to me, but I mean, I also am I guess a Pikmin veteran, if you want to call me that.
Yeah, it's like I'm trying to, because I haven't played Pikmin since Pikmin 3 back on Wii U, so it's been a while. I didn't buy
Same.
Pikmin 1 and 2 when it came out. I didn't buy Pikmin 3 Deluxe.
Same.
So I haven't played in a long time, and I don't think I even ever beat Pikmin 2. Thinking back. pretty sure I didn't beat it. I know I beat the original. And so I've never really been like this big Pikmin guy, but like I'm just saying, as somebody who like isn't super into Pikmin, I'm not really bothered by the dialogue. I actually find it quite useful. I'm actually giving a crap about the characters a little bit more, and I don't always remember what I'm doing, and so the dialogue kind of helps me figure out what I'm doing. So I'm kind of like, I'm trying to remember that a lot of these tutorial dialogues aren't for people who know how to play Pikmin. It's for people who don't remember or don't know how.
Well, it's also a lot better after the demo section of the game, because for the first like 2 or 3 hours, they're just constant. It's like you walk 5 paces, and then they sit you down for like 5 minutes of dialogue, and then you walk to the next room, and there's another 5 minutes of dialogue, and it's like, okay, I understand you need to explain things, but it's like so much flavor text that does not need to be here. It's just too much at once, I think. After you get through that and you're just playing the game, they're letting you roam free, it's usually not bad. And it's usually only comes up when something's happening that you haven't seen before that you might need to know about. So it's fine after that. It's pretty much just the first like 2-3 hours of the game where they're just like constantly hounding you. I'm like, oh my gosh. Like even playing through the demo, because I watched Andres play through a lot of the demo, so I'd seen a lot of the cutscenes. Even taking the time to skip all the cutscenes was annoying how many cutscenes I had to skip. Like, it took me significant time just to skip through the cutscenes. It was quite a lot.
Yeah. You brought up potential nitpicks. It's not enough to derail my enjoyment of the game, but it is kind of like
it goes away pretty quickly just after a few hours.
It's a nitpick, right? It's like if I can point out something that I wish could be better, that's what it is. I wish they could have streamlined the dialogue, the introductory dialogue a little bit more. Otherwise, as you said though, like it kind of does depend on who, right? Ooh, pizza.
Yeah, right.
But yeah, like
this is a very ad-heavy video.
There you go. Yeah. Someone's making money.
Someone's making money off me, making bank.
Yeah, like
enjoy your 50 cents.
Not even like a nickel.
Well, on a long video like this, this is like an 8-hour video, so they make good money on these long videos.
Yeah, maybe you're right. Maybe it's like 5 cents.
Yeah,
which is a lot for a single view. But
yeah.
Anyway.
Well, the annoying thing to me is when people make these videos because they're meant to help people fall asleep, and I'm like, you couldn't turn off mid rolls. You're just waking them right back up. Them right back up every ad play.
Oh man,
you gotta pay for YouTube Premium.
Yeah, you gotta get YouTube Premium. It's the only way you can enjoy it.
I'm spoiled, but I've been paying $16 a month for a few years, just so I don't do ads. Yeah. It always surprises me when I see ads.
I actually was doing YouTube Premium. I know this is kind of a side thing, but
yeah,
I was doing YouTube Premium for a while, and then I started realizing that I don't really even know what ads are running on my channel when I have YouTube Premium. So it's kind of good to know, like, why am I getting so much more ad revenue this week? Oh crap, dude, there's literally running Tears of the Kingdom ads on my channel right now. Well, yeah, make bank. Let's go.
Yeah. I'm trying.
It is nice to know what's being ran on my channel, because I report some ads sometimes too, and I'm like, that shouldn't be on my channel.
I don't do that.
Let's just say there was a men's blue pill ad that popped up that I'm like, let's not run that on my channel, please. Thanks.
Interesting. Yeah. We were talking about Pikmin 4, and I saw the pizza.
Well, see, I can tell you one reason why I get side railed. None of us have played enough of it, I think, to talk in depth about it. So it's sort of like we're having a good time.
Yeah.
I have another nitpick.
I wouldn't want to spoil the story.
There we go.
Let's
just keep trashing the game we barely played. Let's go.
Let me trash the game I'm enjoying a lot. The only nitpick I have of the game, other than the tutorials, would be sometimes the lock-on just locks onto things I don't want. And I'm just like, oh my gosh, I'm pointing over here, and then something walks close enough to where this locks onto it. I'm like, stop doing that. I'm trying to throw over here. So I don't like that sometimes when you're in tight spots with a lot of treasures around or enemies, and you're trying to throw to one enemy and it starts locking onto another one that starts getting too close. And I've lost Pikmin to that. It's like throwing on an enemy that's like electric or something, or a fire, and I'm throwing like trying to throw it to a different enemy next to it, locks on, and my Pikmin die, or it locks onto like some elemental thing in the environment that I don't want to throw my Pikmin at. That kind of frustrates me. I wish I could turn the lock on off, because sometimes it actually hinders me more than it helps.
Gotta play slower.
Well, I'm trying to be fast. I gotta get things done.
It's a strategy game. It's meant to be played slow. Like, you're not supposed to. Like, I understand why you do it. I get it. Now, I'm not. You play the game the way you want, but it is intended to play slow. I know. I'm trying to shoot down your nitpicks, but I'm kind of like, Pikmin's not meant to be a game that you're rushing through a fight in the enemies. Like,
yeah, I'm not rushing. I'm just
strategize.
It's mostly during the Dandori battles.
I rush.
Where I
lots of people try to rush through. I'm like, but the game is meant to be a slow strategy.
I was doing a play on words. I didn't mean like rush through the game. But when I see an enemy, I rush the enemy.
Yeah. Hold on, X.
Yeah. There is a rewind feature, right? So, if you do something wrong, you can go back. It isn't like rewind, like you can rewind 10 seconds. It rewinds you back to a checkpoint. So, but the checkpoint's usually only a minute or two away. So, it
is nice though if you mess up.
Yeah, I did a
Pikmin, but I decided not to rewind.
12 is okay.
That.
Listen, 12 you think is bad, right? There's this like 8 level cave.
It was dumb because I lost them to the day ending.
Oh, well, hold on. let me. I got a story for you. So I found a cave that was meant to be like the Bulborb like kingdom or something. That's what it said. And I was like, oh, okay. And I beat the first level and it said completed 17%. And I was like, this is a big cave. I think it's actually 6 levels, but that's like, it's at least double the size of most caves that I've explored.
The longest cave I've come across is 4 levels.
Yeah, this one was at least 6. I think it was 6. But it was huge, and there was a boss. It was one of the giant like Bulborb slug things, and I attacked its butt. No, I attacked its face. And I did pretty good, but it had a sliver of life left, and then it rolled across the map, and all of my Pikmin chased it, and then it rolled back, and all of my Pikmin died.
Oh god!
Like what happened was it said you just obliterated the red Pikmin species. They are gone.
Oh crap!
Yeah. So.
Oh no, dude! You had all the red Pikmin you had on you.
They were all gone.
You just obliterated it. You just erased an entire subsection of Pikmin out of existence.
They're extinct now. Well, so
I'm assuming you recalled.
I did. I used. See, it is Tears of the Kingdom. Pikmin 4 is the Tears of the Kingdom DLC. I used a massive recall, and I just went back. I went back to the beginning of the boss battle. Yeah. So Pikmin, I think what's an interesting point is that Pikmin 4, if you read the interviews, like they actually designed the game to be easier, to appeal to a larger audience. And
easy at first.
I think
the first area, I don't think I lost a single Pikmin to an enemy.
Yeah, I think the game is just designed in a way to where you can enjoy it regardless of difficulty, but there is challenge to be found. So, and also, if you have to rewind, I think that's as good as a game over, right? Like, if you have
it's pretty much a game over if you're rewinding,
right?
Or you're choosing the game over because you're not happy,
right?
Yeah, you made a mistake that you're not happy about.
Yeah, so then you get another opportunity, and so like there is threat, right? Like it's not like crazy threat, it's not like Dark Souls where like, oh shit, I just lost 10 hours of work. But
I mean, the game does get harder in the later sections. Like in the third area, there's like this enemy that just spits rocks out, and unless your Pikmin has flowers, they can take a hit, they'll just die. Like you just roll over. You can roll over as many as you want. You could lose 20, 30, 40. I was lucky. I only lost 8 to one of them when I didn't see it. I just rolled over 8 of my Pikmin, just killed them instantly. Like there's some dangerous enemies, and they'll pop up, dude. They'll pop out of nowhere. You don't even see them coming. I had some Pikmin transporting things across the map in an area where I thought looked completely clear, And then I just saw 10 Pikmin die, and I'm like, what happened? And I go over there, and one of those stupid dudes popped out of nowhere and was just annihilating my Pikmin, unbeknownst to me.
Yeah, there's just a lot could go on. Have you guys done the Dandori battles?
Yes.
Nope.
The Dandori battles, I don't know if you know what they are yet, but
That's where I was having issues with the lock-on, because you gotta go fast, and there's a lot of things really close together.
So yeah, there's basically what you fight someone else like that. Not fight, but you compete against someone else with their own Pikmin in a challenge room. I mean, it's kind of like going into the caves. You're gonna find them sooner or later, but it's actually really cool.
Well, in the second and third area, they're like immediately there.
I think they're even in the first area. You just gotta explore.
Yes, but it's hard to find that one. Relatively.
But yeah, they're fun. Like the first one I found was definitely like a tutorial one. The second one I found, I actually didn't beat it on my first try, so I had to give it another second go, and then I beat it. Yeah, I realized that, like, you know, there's progression because you get medals, like, depending on how good you do. You have a certain time.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, it's Dandori, which is basically time and resource management. And so the better you are, the better score you'll get, the more treasure you'll get. And it was fun. And like that, there's challenge in there. You kind of have to push yourself to do a little bit better. And I know there's a mode outside of story mode where I think it's focused on Dandori battles, and I think you can do that. Yeah, you can do that against other people locally, no online. I'm pretty sure.
I don't think it's online.
Yeah, probably not. The channel really needs to get on that. But anyways.
Yeah.
I don't want to turn this into another online Nintendo sucks at online debate, because that's just we know.
That's a dead horse.
Yeah, there's what is there to say? Nintendo knows, we know. It is what it is. And it it probably won't change. What also sucks is that, like, Splatoon, right? Even though I know I said I didn't want to talk about this topic, like, Splatoon is just online. It doesn't have local anymore. So it's kind of like they just can never do both. It's always one or the other. So, you know, unless it's Mario Kart or Smash. But Smash's online sucks. So anyways,
yeah.
Back to Pikmin 4. Yeah, I think there's hidden challenge throughout Pikmin 4, but it's designed in a way where if you don't want to be challenged that much, or maybe, you know, just playing the game itself is challenge enough for you, that's fine. And I think it's actually not too different from Breath of the Wild, Tears of the Kingdom, Mario Odyssey. Those games were also designed in a way where most people can get through the game. You kind of choose it and pick your battles. And I think that's actually a really smart way to design your games. Because that way, more people can enjoy them. For those that want the challenge, it is there if you look for it. For those that want to avoid the challenge and not get murdered by a whole bunch of guardians, run away. You could do that too and still find a way to beat the game. So, yeah, I think it's a nice balance so far.
Something I thought was interesting about the game. In the third level, like halfway through the day, the state of the level like changes. Like there's a water level and it goes from like high tide to low tide. And I don't remember that happening in any of the other Pikmin games.
That is interesting. I haven't experienced that yet. But that's cool. Like, that's cool. There's a lot more variety in this game. Like, I brought up the Dandori battles, right? But the Dandori battles are an entirely different arena. You have the caves as well. What you just said sounds awesome. There's different environments. You have the house environments as well. Like, there's...
Yeah, I haven't actually gone to one of those other than just the Olimar part.
Well, what's cool is that, like, one of the first areas, you can see a house in the background, right? Because, like, each level is, like, an area around the house. Like, the first area is, like, the garden, right? I think you mentioned the terrace.
Yeah.
But you can see the house into the distance. I'm assuming you get into the house. Like, it's kind of like eventually you're going to get to the house. It's cool how, like, this, it's kind of like someone's property is an entire world for the entirety of Pikmin 4, which is neat to think about. But yeah, there's a lot of variety in this game. I think the challenge is well balanced. all I have is nice things to say about this game, except for maybe the dialogue, I guess. I actually like the ridicule, but I haven't felt
I like
so
it
hard
most
pressed.
of the time.
Hmm.
I was trying real hard to get something in the Dandori battle, and it was just things kept moving in front of it, and I was just constantly just screwing me over.
Listen, you gotta calm
I still
down.
won though.
You gotta compose yourself. Sounds like you composed yourself. Plan ahead, have a strategy, and stick to it, and then you'll be fine. But let's we ready to move on to our final topic for my surprise topic that all I told you it's about Switch 2 and nothing else.
Sure. We can always come back to Pikmin 4 if somebody in the chat has something to say.
Yeah, if there's, I mean, I'm gonna check with the chat real quick here, but yeah, let's see here. That we don't know. Pikmin's bosses are just amazing. I agree.
That is something I like. They have like just straight up bosses. Just like I was walking up this sandcastle thing, and I saw that there's like a new base camp I could get, and I walked up to it, and it was just a boss there, and I had to beat it first. And there was another one I went to in a different level that scared the crap out of me because there was a base and it just had like flowers coming out of the ground. And I was just like, oh, what's with these flowers? And I walked right over them like an idiot.
They can be bad.
And I got jump scared real good, is what I'll say for that.
Yeah, it is neat that there's a really good amount of boss variety or just enemy variety.
You'd just be like straight up in the level. You'd just be walking through the world and just bam, boss.
And there's this thing, I think it's been in other Pikmin games, but like there's sometimes there are just like these little, I don't know what they are, but like little sea things or shell monster things that come out of the ground. There's like 10 or 12 of them, and they just start running around, and all of your Pikmin just scramble. You'll have like 70 Pikmin, and they're just running around like crazy because they get scared. But I haven't had any die.
They don't kill
just
your
go nuts.
Pikmin now.
Yeah, but I'm freaking out.
They just disappear after a while.
Yeah, I'm freaking out because I feel like they are. I feel like I'm losing Pikmin left and right. And it's just
the
so
problem
much
is they
going on,
keep
you can't
placing
see.
them near other enemies. So like I was trying to sneak over near the shoreline to get this, like I think it was a compass or something, and but there was crabs in the way, and it was towards the end of the day. I was trying to get the part quickly, so I was trying to avoid the crabs, but then they came out of the ground and started disrupting my Pikmin. They started running towards the crabs. I'm like, no, stop! Calm down.
Yeah, but the hordes are scary because they can when they scramble, right? They can run to stuff like you said, like the crab, or just run to the water and drown. So you gotta be careful.
Yeah,
you gotta be careful for sure. Giancarlo, Pikmin is set in a post-apocalyptic Earth. I've always thought that to be the case, but when you play in the house section at the very beginning of the game, that doesn't look like a post-apocalyptic house. That looks like a house where maybe the people are on vacation. I don't want to see this, but like, how scary or weird would it be to see an actual person moving around in Pikmin? Because they would be so much larger, right? Like they could crush you. Like
the Pikmin
they would be a level. They would be a big level. Well, they'd be a level. It would be a like, you know, Shadow of the Colossus times 10 kind of thing. It would be interesting.
Just taking out the toes. Hey, I got experience in Skyward Sword at that. Come on.
Oh man,
the toes are always the weak point.
Yeah, there was a boss fight in Donkey Kong 64 where you had to take out King K. Rool's toes.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
It's a boss fight in Majora's Mask, I believe, where you have to take out somebody's toes.
You also have to do that in Skyward Sword with the imprisoned.
This is just a theme. So this can work, is what we're saying.
Yeah, it can work.
No,
Let's go.
Please, anything.
We take out their toes and they run away scared.
At least
Dude,
make it be.
Humans
a bear.
will run away scared. Are you kidding me? Things bite their toes, they'll be running.
They might. Oh, I mean, if you're me, you might stamp your feet because you got ants on you. You don't want them to continue climbing. So that might cause a cataclysmic earthquake for anything.
I'll just get the doggo to lick the toe, and then they'll be like, "Whoa, hey, right, what is that thing?"
All right, we're moving on. That's enough. That's enough. Got a super chat here from.
Remember, you invited me on.
I did. You do you, buddy. Wrong thing. Let's see here. I was trying to post this. Just show it real quick. There we go. Samuel A, thank you for super chat, buddy. Samuel says, I'll help you segue. Switch to 12-month launch window game speculation. I'll throw some out. Mario Kart 9, 3D Mario, Ocarina of Time Remake, Fire Emblem 4 Remake. Okay, well, thank you for that segue. That is an interesting starter for this conversation. 12-month launch window. I'm just kind of trying to piece it together. Mario Kart 9, 3D Mario, Ocarina of Time Remake, Fire Emblem 4 Remake.
I don't see Mario Kart 9 coming out like super early. Switch 2.
Well, I mean, that depends when Switch 2 comes out. Let's say Switch 2 comes out at the end of next year. What if Mario Kart 9 is the holiday title from 2025? Is that really a stretch?
Yes.
Yeah, I'd be
That's still a
confused.
stretch?
I'd be very confused why
Okay.
they stopped DLC a year before the new game. It'd be very weird.
Well, that'll be almost 2 years before the new game. At that point,
Yeah.
but
Holiday 2024?
I
No,
think
no,
it's
no,
weird
no, I'm
because I
saying
don't think
it's-
they're.
Because the DLC ends this year.
Right. I'm saying that if Switch
Yeah.
2 comes out the end of next year, and we're talking about a 12-month launch plan.
Oh, 2025.
The end of 2025. That would be 2 years
Oh,
removed
okay.
from the end of the DLC.
Uh,
Is that Nate? You said you understood that.
Still a little
Yes.
close.
Yeah, and you Nate, you think it is a stretch.
I think it's a stretch because I don't think it's going to be a holiday title. I actually think it'll be sooner.
What? Wait, what?
Yeah.
So what?
Throw this DLC out the window, apparently.
Well,
What?
hold on.
What?
I didn't
Explain
come
yourself.
prepared. I didn't come prepared for this guy. I didn't know it was going to come up.
No, but I guess he just threw me for a loop because he said it was a stretch. I was like, oh, okay, so he thinks Mario Kart 9 is like way off. Well,
You
actually,
can't drop this
No.
bomb and then just leave it there.
No,
I mean-
I think Mario Kart 9 is done. I think
Well,
it's just sitting on a
okay,
shelf
first off,
right now.
it can be done and still be way off. This,
Well, yeah, well, of course it could.
the Nintendo,
I just don't think it will.
the Nintendo of
Mario
today,
Kart 8 Deluxe came out early in this gen and is 60 million plus. They're getting this thing out ASAP. ASAP. Because they want it to sell all generation long. It is the most evergreen title Nintendo. Like when we talk about evergreen, Mario Kart 8, Mario Kart in general is the most evergreen title Nintendo has. They want this thing out quick. It's
Why-
a system. It is the ultimate system seller. It is the holiday bundle for 5 Christmases in a row.
I usually would
Offer-
agree with this. It's just the DLC is really throwing me through a loop here. Why would they
Well,
would
how?
do
They
this?
didn't use their whole team on this DLC, man.
No, I mean it's not the
They're
time to
porting
make it.
tour
It's
tracks and
it's not the time to make it. It's just the fact that they're adding content to a game like way after it came out, right before the new one.
well, so then what have they been doing the last 8 years before they started making DLC?
Oh,
I
they're
definitely
making-
think no. See,
I
that's what I'm saying. It's
already-
not about the
I have
time.
the
It's
answer
not
to your
about time.
question.
Well, let me finish. It's not about the timeline. It's not about how they're developing Mario. I've nothing. It's not about that. My only thing is, why bring up a game that was already selling year on year on year? Why make it even more relevant, like a year or two before you release the next game? You could have just not done that.
Money.
I mean, yes, it's just a
More
very
NSO
very annoying.
subscriptions. What? Okay, I got a question. Mario Kart DLC is done this year. Okay, supposedly we're done this year. Gonna get the final. Supposed to come before the end of the year.
They get surprised and be like, hey, here's waves 7
So
through
let's
10.
oh yeah, they could, but for what's announced, it ends this year. Okay?
Right, and I agree it probably will be ending this.
Okay, and that's fine. But if they launch a new Mario Kart game, let's say, I don't know, 3 months into the next system, early, like say March of 2025, I don't know how this is like a slap in the face to Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. They're not even on the same system. They're not on the same system. What are we talking about? How is it a slap in the face? It's not the same system. We're talking a new generation system. That's like saying, oh, a new Zelda game comes out in 2025. Man, that's a big slap in the face to Tears of the Kingdom. What?
I feel
It would be
slapped.
weird.
I feel so
It would
slapped.
be But I'm like,
Be
we
weird.
were just talking about like Zelda games earlier in this thing, and now we're saying, oh man, you know, Mario Kart 8, which came out in 2014.
Yeah.
It's weird
so
to get a new one in 2025.
Fucking revive it and give it double the content
Can
it
we
had at
stop
launch.
screaming,
right
please?
before the new one.
Can we stop screaming, please? Please. I did put limiters. but
Did I
it's-
peak on your end? I shouldn't be
well,
able to peak.
I have a limiter, so it doesn't.
I can
it's-
probably-
Yeah, I have a limiter on mine, so I
Yeah.
shouldn't be able to peak.
I don't have a limiter.
But I don't
Well,
worry,
that's
don't worry.
pretty
over
I-
here.
Don't worry.
That's pretty apparent.
I had a limiter for you both, so yeah, you're on the same.
I'm double limited.
You're on the same sound channel, so
Yeah.
I
yeah.
don't know.
Um,
Anyways, my point though was just like the only reason that we even got this DLC, I don't think they planned for Mario Kart 8 to be this crazy seller. They were trying to throw it out and they were probably going to work on 9. And then, oh, look how well this is selling.
by the way, you're
Let's
saying
delay
9,
9 for the next system and just keep
Sam's
going.
saying 9, Brandon's saying 9. It might be 10 because Mario Kart Tour came out.
Well, yeah. There's Tour, and they also
Well-
tend to get Home Circuit. They might just do away with numbers. They might not even use a number.
That'd be fair.
By the way, you know what's
They
kind of
didn't
funny?
always use numbers.
You could
The
look
Mario
at
Kart Super
you
Circuit,
could look at
Double
you
Dash.
could look at Mario Kart 8 as actually Mario Kart Infinity.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you look at the old Infinity
You,
rumors.
you want to be crazy? If they announce in 2024, they show Mario Kart and they show the 8, and then at the end the logo turns. It turns 90 degrees. It's like Mario Kart.
Oh, here we go. There's your
Infinity.
Infinity.
Yeah,
right.
that's what they call the next Mario Kart game. They maybe make us think that it's more DLC, but it's actually brand new Mario Kart. So, anyways, all joking
I'm so
aside,
sorry I triggered you apparently with my argument.
Who, me?
Not you.
We're so triggered. I was so triggered.
You
I
got really angry. I was like, holy.
No, I was just.
I don't think I've
playing
ever
into
triggered
it.
anyone on this podcast. This is great.
What are you talking about? You trigger me every day.
I like to clarify. I was not
Yeah,
angry.
You rein it in though. You rein it in. That was a little unhinged for a moment.
I'd like to clarify I was not angry. I just thought it would be funny. But no, I don't even care because honestly, I would much rather they actually do what you're saying and they release a Mario Kart 9 like immediately. Because honestly, even the DLC for Mario Kart 8, it's just give it or take it for me. I'm just saying I find it weird that they revived it and gave it like DLC and then just released it the game. I think you could just
Money.
not revived it.
all about money.
All about money.
It's money. It's just
not just
it's
about people
also-
buying the DLC. It's about keeping people on Nintendo Switch
On
Online.
NSO.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because
and-
they literally announced like adding DLC to NSO with this
Right.
DLC.
And I guess the other big part of it is that because they were already making this content for Tour, it wasn't as expensive to make it for. I mean, they've remade it. They've added new, like it's not like there isn't work being done.
There's been
but-
some new tracks, but
Yeah.
there were also tracks that they brought them to Tour.
Yeah,
It was kind of like we realized we're making tracks for Tour. Why don't we just make it first for this? and
It
then
was a
make
bang
Tour?
for your
Yeah.
buck situation, right?
Right.
Yeah.
But what you guys don't understand is, I'm looking at this just from not a was this a smart thing from Nintendo to do. I'm looking at this from a consumer with no point of view. I'm making a devil's
Advocate.
devil advocate argument.
So
Just
a
for
consumer that's been playing since 2014 will think it's too soon,
no.
just because they got some DLC tracks ported from Tour.
Something about the
My-
DLC tracks.
Okay, let me just say, it's literally I was just making it's
I know,
funny to
you're-
me that it came out as such a big thing because I was literally just trying to make like a tiny little comment, and then we went a whole tangent on this comment
Yeah.
that had nothing to do with anything that I didn't even really back that hard.
It was just because you were peeking in my headphones, and I'm like, "Whoa, this is getting heated."
E-mad.
He mad.
Yeah. No. So, anyways, I was joking earlier about how because you said it was a stretch, right? And I was like, "What do you? Okay, all right." I thought you thought like the opposite direction, but you actually meant it would come earlier, which I actually do find believable. I think as long as we're about a year removed from the DLC, I think they could do it.
I don't even think the DLC even really matters.
I mean,
I'm gonna be honest. It was a throwaway to make money. It's pretty much probably the Tour team making it.
I'm glad
Probably
you're being
literally
honest.
has nothing to do with the main team, anyways.
Right. No.
I-
It's not a work thing. It's not a work thing. I agree with you. The
Yeah,
Nintendo
but I don't
EPG
even think it's a sale thing. Like, I don't even know. I still fail to see how a new Mario Kart game, even if it was there at launch, would be like a slap in the face to Mario Kart 8 owners. I'm sorry, guys. We've had the game 2014, or for you since 2000. Oh, there was DLC. Okay, and the DLC, cool. You can still play your Mario Kart 8 Deluxe with your DLC on the system.
If anything, you know what you look at it as?
Like, it's weird.
You could look at it as continuing the content train. So the Booster Course Pass has been the Mario Kart content train for the last, what, almost 2 years? Right?
Yeah.
Once this ends, there'll be a little bit of a gap, and then they announce Mario Kart Infinity. Whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, whatever they call it.
Yeah.
My thing is, I do think this
It's,
DLC has forced them to have more than 48 tracks at launch.
I don't know.
Yeah, they gotta have a pretty good amount of content at launch, otherwise.
Because you gotta remember,
so
Mario
barren.
Kart 8 didn't originally have 48 tracks in the first place. That took DLC to even get there, back on Wii U.
Looking back at the original content that Mario Kart 8 launched with, it's
But they've
tiny compared to now.
They put
It's
the
hard-
bar so high.
It's hard to measure up to 96 tracks, which is going to be the total amount
Yeah.
for
It's
Mario
a similar
No, I-
situation there
no, I don't-
with Smash Ultimate.
I think everyone will be like, we understand if there's not 96, at launch. Like that's insane, but because that includes DLC. Now DLC will be sponsored video.
Okay, we should be going back live now.
Okay, refreshing.
Yeah, should be hopefully back soon.
Why?
I don't even know what happened.
I think we're back.
I think we're back.
I think we're back.
Yep, looks like it.
Alright, let's see here. Okay. Nope, I did not mean to open that. I hate it when I accidentally click something. Okay, so looks like my computer crashed. I see some of you are still here. Thank you for sticking around. We were nearing the end of the show, so it's not like the end of the world. But I mean, I did like the topic we were in. I thought we were covering some new ground, which was fun.
Which wasn't exactly their topic.
No, but it's
related.
It's related. It's related to Switch 2. Yeah. Yeah. Guys, like the stream would be super helpful if we can get back.
Thanks for the $5 transition, Samuel.
Yeah, thank you. It was very much appreciated, despite the computer crash. But I think we'll be okay. Well, we already got 40 people watching. That's not bad. So,
That's good.
yeah, it's fine. Considering we crashed in the middle of the night. So
Yeah, sometimes I can't even get it to recover, and it just ends the stream. So
yeah, we're already at
Got lucky.
50. We're already at 50. That's not bad.
Yeah.
It's like we're like at what, like 60-ish, 70-ish percent.
60, yeah.
Yeah, because
It's
we
like
were
70, I
hovering
think.
between 60 and 80 throughout the night, so that's not even that bad.
Let's do it.
Yeah, hopefully we don't crash again before we close out. But anyways,
All right, so Mario Kart aside.
no. Oh, I'm not done with the Mario Kart. I was gonna.
Because
I had my
get
big
your name
idea.
out? You didn't get your name out?
No, it's more than a name, bro. It's
Oh, no.
more than a name.
It's life. All right,
The
let's
name tells you the game. All right. You ready for
Bro, I'm
this?
so ready.
I'm
to be
so like,
included
what
here.
is happening? Let's go.
You ready
Let's
for
go.
this? All right. So, again, this is just me putting on an idea, but the idea makes so much sense it might just happen. So yes, take it with a grain of salt. It's not a rumor. This is my personal speculation, with no facts behind it at all. Well, there's reason behind. Anyways, here's the point.
The ninjas are coming.
All right, you ready? You ready? Mario Kart World. Your face looks so disappointed.
Mario Kart World.
I thought it was gonna be something more original than that.
The point is, it tells you what it is. Think about it. It doesn't even have to be 32, 48 tracks, maybe 16 tracks, but these tracks are huge. These tracks, there's more about exploration. Like, there is still the racing, there's still the closed circuits, or they'll still be the Grand Prix, but it's kind of like bring in a little bit of that Diddy Kong Racing love, where there's some exploration involved. There's a little bit more of a world to explore this time around. The tracks are bigger, more grandiose, with more shortcuts and diverting paths. There's even like, so you know how in they kind of have in some of the Mario Kart tracks, but it's just kind of like you go off to the side and there's like an item block and you speed boost. But like maybe even track carts could like even retain some level of damage. And you can, like, you go off to the side, so you do the pit stop where you maybe have like the Toads will come in and they'll put air in your tires, or they'll like oil it up or something. Like they could really like kind of like embellish the world of Mario Kart here. Like I remember with Mario Kart 8, it would have like those renders of like the toads and the engines and things. I was like, man, I really would love to like actually have some sort of gameplay involved with that. So that's the idea. Mario Kart World. Is it an original idea? I mean, it has it obviously World conveys a certain idea, right? You think about Disneyland, Disney World, right? You think about Super Mario Land, Super Mario World. Like there is an implication when you say world. That would be the point.
I will say I would like a story mode of some sort in Mario Kart 9 to be like a big distinguishing factor. Some more single player content in general. But if part of that single player content was like a kind of track, I guess, or a world, hub world or something, or kind of how, you know, like Call of Duty maps. You'll have like Warzone where it's like all these smaller Call of Duty maps that you can play as individual levels, but they're put into like a big world. It'd be interesting if they did that with like the levels in the game, where it's like, okay, it's the tracks, but now there's things connecting those tracks together, and then you have different worlds that you go to that are, you know, themed to the tracks.
It would be interesting because there's so many cool ideas and levels in the Mario Kart world, and it kind of makes you wonder, okay, how do these areas connect, right? Like how does Peach's Castle, right, connect to, I don't know, like LA Laps or Yoshi's Circuit? Like it would be interesting to see if there is kind of a connection there. And you don't even have to make it like maybe there could be some kingdom areas that are tracks, but maybe like there could just be like a Mario Kart Cup. Oh, that could be like, that's another title idea, Mario Kart Cup, like World Cup. It's a whole soccer World Cup thing. They could make it like a more large scale grand event. There are already arenas with an audience. Just go even deeper into that. So that's the idea. It's gonna get confirmed. A year from now, they're going to announce Mario Kart World. You'll see. I'm just looking at Nate. He's just like, I don't want to be mean, so I'm not gonna say anything at all.
I don't want to lose any more subscribers. I don't want to lose any more subscribers, so I'm ready to move on to the next one.
Wait, are you gonna say it's a stupid idea?
I hate everything about that idea.
Oh,
well,
that's fair. You know, you can have an opinion. We allow opinions on this show.
Yeah,
the Mario Kart's always been a certain thing, and I think it should just stay that certain thing. Because it's you got to remember, this is a 60 million selling franchise now.
Reasonable. Damn it.
Like, you don't mess with a good thing. Like, I just think I know that Nintendo always says we got to have crazy ideas to do. No, that's to bring things back. When you're already on top, you just don't mess with what works. There'll be some new gimmick, just like technically the original gimmick of Mario Kart 8 was the whole anti-gravity stuff. That was like literally OG 2014. That was like the new thing, was the anti-gravity. And I'm not saying that there won't be something. And maybe it's some weird combination of like, I don't know, you're playing and someone gets a certain item and all of a sudden it changes, and like halfway through some other track comes and merges with this track, and it turns into like a completely different race than you originally thought it was going to be. I don't know. There could be some crazy concepts going on.
I do like the idea of transition from one track to another. Like there could be wormwormles.
And it could be like literally controlled by some really rare item drop. And so like it can even be user controlled. Your user just decides, oh man, I'm getting boned here. You suck at this track, I'm gonna kick your ass. But I don't. Again, that's just an idea, just like your world idea. I think it might even be too far out there for them to consider it. But I just kind of think that there are some games that feel just like a warm hug. You pick it up, and if you played Mario Kart and you liked Mario Kart back on the N64, or you liked it on the GameCube, or you liked it on the Wii, you're gonna like it on the Switch. It's a warm hug. It's a familiar comfortability that everybody who's ever played Mario Kart can just pick up the new one and just instantly understand and have fun. There's not any confusion to it. There's not any like you're talking about the pit stops and stuff. And I'm like, this is an arcade game. This ain't no simulation racing. You don't need no pit stops. What are we talking about? Why are we
Yeah, I do
stopping
think-
racing?
Maybe they could have a story mode where
I do think that part is a little bit.
And I understand the story mode and everything. I just kind of get like, but like for me, the story was always, hey, you know what the single player is? I'm trying to get gold in every cup. That makes me the best. Like, it's like, I know that's not technically like you don't get anything for it.
Yeah,
You just get like a little trophy, and it'd be nice if the game would recognize you getting that as like being an accomplishment or something. But
I think Mario Kart DS
That's how
is
I've
pretty
always
great
viewed Mario Kart.
because it had also the mission mode. It also
Sure.
had the there were
Well, see, that's
boss
why I
fights in
think
there, which were
they-
pretty cool.
I think you make a great point, Nate, that they need to make sure, you know, that the core of the game feels at least very, very close to Mario Kart 8. But I
It's
think
just-
that they
it's just
can
a warm
add
hug.
things on top of it. That's why I like the idea of like single player content on top. Because obviously, like the main content that they should focus on is that multiplayer, that normal
Yeah,
standard
I
Mario
mean, you
Kart that
are
we know.
right.
But I think they should they could add things on top of that, new modes that you don't have to do but are nice, and add some more stuff, but maybe not something as in depth as what we were talking about. But I think maybe some mission modes or at least some sort of more single player content added on would be a big deal for me. At
Yeah.
least.
I don't know. It's just I'm just one of those people that like Mario Kart to me is like my Smash Bros. There's a lot of people that love Smash, and imagine that they release a new Smash Bros. Game and up B and down B are not the attacks anymore. It's something else because they're trying something crazy and different. And like, oh, we need to go in a new direction after Ultimate. I think a lot of Smash fans would be pretty pissed off. And I'm just like, you know, I know Mario Kart fans aren't as rabid. We don't have all these serious leagues going. I mean, there are some out there, but there's not like a ton of them. Everyone understands it's a family friendly. It's the one game from Nintendo that I've always looked at it as, you know what you're going to get. And it feels good every time. And like, they don't have a lot of games like that because, I mean, they just really don't. Like, you just don't know. Game to game, Mario game to Mario game. Like, hey, we thought, it's going to be Odyssey 2. Oh, well, okay. Now we have no idea what this next 3D Mario game is going to be like. It could be completely different, and I might not like it. We didn't know that Mario Wonder was going to be the next side-scrolling Mario game. At the time, we didn't know when Mario Maker was coming out that was even going to be a thing. Like, you just don't know from so many of them. Like, hey, Kirby in the Forgotten Land. Who saw that ever happening after all these years of side-scrolling Kirby? It's like there's a lot of unknown with IPs that work in ways. Sometimes just because it's a single-player experience, so you can experiment a bit more with that. But I just kind of feel like it's sort of like Splatoon. Like when you play Splatoon 1, you play Splatoon 3. Splatoon is Splatoon, man. Why are we messing with it?
It's very true.
Like,
Although Splatoon did add some extra modes.
They added new moves. Like they add things, but like so does Mario Kart.
Oh yeah.
Mario Kart does the same thing.
Yeah, just add Mario Kart.
They just don't
World.
go like drastically away from what it is.
Just
like
add
this
a
Mario Kart
drastic
World
world
concept
change.
is cool. That's a pretty drastic change,
All right.
launching with 16 tracks. Like that's like going back to N64 days. What are we doing?
Giant
Yeah,
tracks.
that part of it was. That's what I was
Hey,
trying to
the
read.
tracks are so huge. There's like 18 branching paths, and I'm just like, look, that sounds all cool, but then like that means we're all gonna go on different paths. There's only 12 racers. Like I'm not gonna be able to see anyone.
Who says it's gonna be
There's
12?
too many branching
Who
paths.
says it's gonna be 12? Anyways,
Listen.
Maybe that's the innovation. Maybe they up it to 20 racers.
Well, they got to make them tracks bigger.
They just gotta make them wider.
Yeah, let's make them wider.
At least.
Actually, you don't even need to make them wider. Are you kidding me? Dude, you could fit them all on there.
No. Anyways, all jokes aside,
200 cc. That was great. I loved when they had
that
that.
was great. Yeah. I think you're right that they have to be careful about what changes they do bring in because it has to ultimately feel like Mario Kart. I think your warm hug analogy is fair because there's a lot of people that are like, oh yeah, I know Mario Kart. And when they say I know Mario Kart, it's not necessarily any particular Mario Kart. It's just a Mario Kart.
Yeah.
If you play
You have friends over and you say, let's play some Mario Kart. They'll be like, dude, I haven't played the one. No one says, oh, I haven't played the one on this system. They go, oh, dude, I've played Mario Kart before. Let's go. It's A, it's B, it's drift turns. Let's go.
Well, most people don't know. A lot of casuals don't know how to drift. I'm like, my famous phrase whenever I'm playing with friends that have
It's
come
hilarious
over.
because drift's been in the game like this whole time.
I know.
I didn't know it was in the game until like the Wii one.
Yeah,
Oh,
I didn't
man.
actually. I had Mario Kart
To be
64.
fair,
I
I
felt
played
like
the only other one I
you-
played was the N64 one. I was
when you
like
play against
5.
people who don't know, it feels like you have a cheat code that they don't. It's
Listen,
hilarious.
Yeah.
what I tend to say
Could not
is
imagine
if you're not
drifting in Mario Kart 8.
if you're not drifting, you're doing it wrong.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
that's what I say. Like you should be drifting 90% of the time. Oh, you should be
No,
drifting
it
a lot
depends.
of the time. A lot
And when
of
you're
the
going
time.
200 cc, sometimes that's not the point because the speed's fine. You need more control.
You gotta be using that brake.
Yeah,
button.
the brake. Yeah, and people don't like using it.
You brake
200
while
cc
you
reminds
brake-
you the brake
you need
matters.
to
You
use
brake
the-
while you drift, but there's a balance
Yeah.
because if too much, Yeah, so it's
Yeah.
definitely an interesting challenge. But anyways,
Tap,
yeah,
tap.
this is one of those scenarios where I had an idea, right? I love my idea. I think it'd be an amazing idea, but I think you're totally right. Like I think that it makes more sense to do what you're saying. Now, maybe they can have some semblance of my
F-Zero
idea.
World.
That's different because F-Zero is not going to be a 60 million seller. F-Zero is going to be a very hardcore centric racing game. So if they ever do have a new F-Zero, because we know that we assume the remaster.
They said they need new ideas. They won't bring
Right.
it back otherwise.
F-Zero W.
Oh, here we go.
There it
Gotta
is.
stick with the single letter.
The rare F-Zero W.
Yeah, there. F-Zero W. It stands for win. That's right. It's gonna be a massive W for the franchise where it sells 8 million. That would be huge. Imagine. And tell them, be like, hey,
Dude.
we got this second racing series that sells a lot. It's probably not gonna happen.
That would be
but
insane.
It would be. That's what it would. It's
They
just,
should just make an F-Zero Wave Race crossover game.
Bruh.
No.
Dude, they drive fast enough to go on top of the waves. Don't mess with me.
Actually, it would be.
I don't
cool.
know. I honestly don't know how it would work. 'Cause
Well,
how the hell do you take
the
out?
thing is, F-Zero and Wave Race are
Try to
two
imagine
totally different games. Like Wave
Yeah, I know
Race.
what it is.
Wave Race is
Complete,
about,
and Wave Race is not fast
So-
usually.
no, it's about
a
it's
little slower.
about maneuvering around waves and the
Yeah.
mechanics of that.
Yeah.
In
Positioning
natural
a lot.
Earth-like environments, which are beautiful
Yep.
and serene. But you
Sorry,
know, that,
this is
yeah.
just me trying to bring back old race games that never will come back. So
Well, I mean, F-Zero might
That's
come
fair.
back, and if that comes back, we'll see what happens.
I want Diddy Kong Racing to come back, and it's just not
Right.
gonna come back.
So that's why I incorporate the world idea. Because what if? I mean, at least give me a hub world with a story mode or a mission mode that incorporates
Your
these
your
strats.
hub is go to the next Grand Prix.
Ah, I,
Stop.
I got no problem with the Grand Prix setup.
I hate that
Literally,
you're right.
it's been the goal since the very first Mario Kart.
I'm not.
Get gold in every Grand Prix.
And I've
at,
never
at the
cared.
various speed levels.
Oh,
I've never cared.
Here's something that'd be cool.
I hate getting the 50cc
if
one.
they
That
go-
one annoys me because it's so slow.
If they go back to having 5
Platinum.
tracks per cup, that'll be interesting.
I think if you get a gold on your account at 150cc, it should just automatically give you the golds for below.
It does.
Yeah.
It's so annoying to race at like lower
No,
speeds to
if
get
you
the
do,
gold cup.
If you race 150cc and get gold, it's gold for 150 automatically.
Is it?
Yeah. I don't know.
See,
if they,
I don't know. It's been that long since I've actually cared in 8. Because
I don't know when they made that change, but if you do it now, that's how it is. I don't know if it's an update that they added to Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, if it was like on a Wii U. I don't know when it was made,
Yeah.
but if you do it right now,
Because
on Mario Kart
I haven't
8,
done it. I haven't
that's
gone
how
for
it works.
gold since Wii U. So
Yeah, that's how it works now. But before we actually get into the topic, I got a few super chats here from Taker. Let me read those off real quick. I don't know why it always shows the link there. But anyways, so a few super chats here from Taker. Thank you for these super chats, Taker. First super chat. Next Mario Kart crossover with Mortal Kombat. There you go. That's the change we
Fatality.
need. Come on, isn't that a warm hug? Just rip your head off.
fatality.
No. Yeah.
Blood
that'd-
everywhere.
That'd be funny.
The car crash.
That
in
Luigi
that
death
game.
stare is literally a death stare.
Yeah, but you have to.
You just throw a shell at somebody and they just explode, guts go everywhere.
Yeah, you have to read this other part though. That Taker says Mario Kart a rift apart.
Oh, here we go.
But think about it after Mortal Kombat. Rift apart. Okay. I like the name. And then this final super chat
Isn't
from
that the
Taker.
Ratchet and Clank game?
Yeah, I was gonna be like, I think he's referencing Ratchet and Clank.
That could be,
I-
but that's not what I
I-
interpreted.
Pretty sure. It's a
You can
good
tell
game.
he
I played a bit
doesn't
of it.
play. He doesn't play much Sony over there. Don't worry about it.
Is it true?
I
I didn't
do,
know
though.
this. I didn't know this. Taker says original Mario Kart started life as an F-Zero game. Is that true? I
I
didn't
think
know.
F-Zero
No
existed
idea.
first.
I mean, maybe.
I remember right.
Well, I mean, so there was a Mode 7. Actually, I think it's coming back to it. So they had the Mode 7 chip. I think they incorporated that into the first F-Zero game on Super Nintendo, and then from that they made other stuff, including Mario Kart. If that's what you mean, then I understand, but I'm not. I don't know. I don't remember anything else beyond that.
Yeah, I guess the stuff they worked on with F-Zero could be
The tech.
used
The
for
tech was
Mario
used.
Kart.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
makes sense. That definitely makes sense. Anyways, so. Well, I feel like we've been kind of talking about Switch 2 because we were talking about a game that could be Switch 2, the next Mario Kart, which I think is actually kind of refreshing because it's nice to talk about other things for Switch 2 beyond just
Better be happy, Samuel.
release
It was
timing.
all you.
Yeah, there you go. Stake is high, these ideas are lame. No, you're lame. I'm just kidding.
You're lame, and your opinion doesn't matter to me.
Well, I mean, if you're gonna say my ideas are lame, maybe I should be able to call you. It's okay. You're entitled to your opinion. But a mission mode in Mario Kart DS was pretty amazing. Anyways, so the Switch 2 topic. It's not about the fake leak. The fake leak is fake leak. I had a video about it today. I talked about it.
Which fake leak?
The fake leak.
I did a video today.
Really
Had 3 of
obviously
them
fake one.
that all happened this week.
Today's
I
Monday.
think it's older than.
Did
Yeah.
it happen today?
I meant over the last week.
The Nintendogs.
Yep, that's one.
renders.
Yep.
That's the one I talked about today. I kind of talked about how some people have kind of like reported it as like a rumor or a leak, but it's not any of those because it's just someone who made renders, and
You could tell from the very first one.
yeah. So
It wasn't like there was even a period where it was believable.
well,
Because the
thing is-
very first render had problems in it that Nintendo would have never
yeah.
let happen.
But you realize that, but not everyone did. A lot of people believed it because they don't.
Yep.
You know, not everyone analyzes these things. The
It's a
same way.
neat fan concept.
Yeah, that's what it is. It's a fan concept, and I guess the problem
Thumbnail
is
art.
a lot of people were kind of reporting it as a rumor, and it's not.
Mhm.
It's not a rumor. It's
There
just
are
a fake render.
currently no credible leaks for the Switch 2 at this point. So if you see
Depending-
one, it's not true.
Depending on what you define as a leak, I guess. There's no
The NVIDIA
imagery.
leak last year.
The what?
So the Nvidia leak last year, that was real.
Yeah, that's
yeah.
a real leak.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I should specify. If you see a picture leaked,
Yeah, there's no
That is
pictures
not
out right
Yeah.
now. No.
Yeah. There are patents which aren't leaks. That's official public information.
Yeah, that's
yeah. I mean, we don't know what will actually be in the system, but there are patents. So the idea I want to get to is actually related to the PS5. Basically, right? The PS5. We're hearing there's going to be a PS5 Pro next year, right? That's what's being reported. So, what does that have to do with Switch 2? Well, if Sony is planning a seemingly sudden PS5 Pro for next year, I think that kind of suggests that they're putting out new hardware because they want to compete with something new for next year because they anticipate Nintendo is coming out with new hardware. And you also factor in the recent, the things that came out of the court case, how there is this expectation that Nintendo could come out with new hardware as early as 2024, right? So even Microsoft has an expectation that this system could be coming out next year. It seems like Sony and Microsoft are preparing themselves for what's to come from Nintendo. Obviously, they don't directly compete. They're not trying to do the same thing, but at the end of the day, these are game companies competing for the dollar of the consumer. So they're going to want to put something out there to keep themselves, in the conversation. So that's basically what I'm getting at. I think the PS5 Pro report is potentially another hint that something's coming out next year from Nintendo because Sony is getting that out there sooner than later, it looks like.
I disagree.
Well,
I don't think
you're
Sony
wrong, so I don't care.
cares about that.
Nintendo.
As far as
I'm joking.
Not as far as releasing their PS5 Pro. That's just I don't think they can. afford to do something just because of something Nintendo's doing.
Well, hold
This
on,
is
hold
stuff
on,
that
hold on,
takes
hold on,
years.
hold on.
Also,
Hold on. I
Hold on, okay,
never
I'll
said
hold
I
on.
never said just because, right? I'm simply saying that
I don't think it
targeting.
has any influence. I'm gonna say 100%.
Okay.
I don't think it has literally any influence on their plans because it's just not something that would. The Switch 2 is not gonna be anywhere near competing hardware-wise with the PS5, much less a PS5 Pro, or even a PS4 Pro. So why would they come out with a new system to compete with that on that level?
It's
They're
not
already
about-
selling PS5s. Also, the insane amount of R&D costs for these new systems, as well as the fact that I don't think a Pro is going to come out next year anyways. And if it is I don't think it's going to be like the PS4 Pro. I think at best it will have some minor quality of life improvements that might bring some games up in certain ways, but the base hardware I don't think can be, as far as just monetary cost. I don't think they can make a big jump right now without it being like an $800 system.
Okay.
Okay.
Um.
What do you think, Nate?
So there's a couple of arguments on this. The first is that the reason that Nintendo could matter is all about marketing. Nintendo's the one bringing out the new toy. Sony's old news now. Their new toy was launched in 2020. So some of that is just the argument could just be Sony wants to stay in the headlines. Because PS5 outside
Release
of
a PS5
games
Slim.
will put it in the headlines.
Release
But,
a Slim then.
The Slim's coming out this year. And then it's actually not a Slim, apparently. It's just a PS5 with no disk drive that is... I don't really understand it because they have one with no disk drive. I'm going to be clear. I don't
Yeah.
understand the reports on this thing at all. It's basically a PS5 with a detachable disk drive. So it comes with one, but it detaches so you can hook it up to your other PS5. I honestly don't understand it, but it's coming from like super legit, like every journalist on the planet. So I just, and it's not going to be called a Slim. I think they supposedly are just replacing their $500 model PS5 with something else. I don't know.
Yes.
So I could be like one of those. I think about it like the Xbox 360 Elite, like sort of like a redesign of what the 360 was to make it more reliable and get rid of the red ring of death. I think it's probably something like that where they're trying to redesign that base model, and maybe it could just be to make it cheaper. That could be the whole
I think they're also
cost
probably
down.
trying to get their own costs down.
Yeah.
They
So I think it's like a
wanna
redesign.
the
to get
discless
costs down.
model. The discless model loses them a ton more money than the disc version does because it's $100 cheaper. The only part difference is the disc drive.
Yeah.
Which I think cost them like $30 or something. So
Yeah, I don't know.
somewhere in that ballpark.
As for
Not
the
a lot.
PS5 Pro, there's been, so after that report came out, there's been other more reliable people that have said, oh yeah, we've heard about this too, but they're not willing to necessarily commit to next year. My thing is, like, if they care about the Nintendo thing and they want to stay in the headlines by saying, hey, no, we're the one with the new hardware, not forget about that Nintendo thing, we have the new hardware. I guess I get it, but I don't know, because like it's not about competing on power, right? That's not really what it's about.
Yeah.
And we learned about this with the FTC. Like, why does the U.S. government consider Switch to be in the same generation and competitive with PS5 and Xbox Series? It's because you're competing for people's time to play video games. Power isn't really the argument. And if you look at generations, power really hasn't ever been the argument. We have consoles in generations that are like, a fourth, an eighth as powerful as other systems in that same generation. I mean, you literally just go back to the Wii versus 360 and PS3 if you want to just bring up a more modern example of this. So it's not really like power's ever been the determining factor. It's a partial factor for an individual company. Like, no one's ever released a platform that wasn't more powerful than the last platform they released. Even Wii is technically a little bit more powerful than a GameCube. So even Nintendo's never really not released something that's more powerful than their last system. I think there's a lot of interesting things to think about with this, because PlayStation is in a very interesting position where their number one concern probably isn't Nintendo. Obviously, their number one concern was that Activision Blizzard acquisition. That was their number one concern. And then number two is making sure they're in the headlines and not Xbox. And Xbox is about to go in the headlines big time after that acquisition goes through. Nintendo's about to bounce up in the headlines. I mean, even if they drop a redesigned PS5 this year, okay, but if it's just a redesigned PS5, but it's basically the same system for 500, it's not really that. There's nothing noteworthy there. It's just, we redesigned it a little bit. Okay, cool. Probably to bring costs down. Whereas, hey, Xbox has this big new thing going on. They just bought a massive company, and everyone knows who this company is, and everyone's played their games at some point. Oh, and then, hey, here's Nintendo, brand new hardware, big 3D Mario game coming, this and that. And Sony's like, we got some games. And they're like, but everyone else is making big moves, and you're just releasing games. Well, everyone's releasing games. So they might want to get into that headline and be like, by the way, just to reiterate, we are the most badass company in the world. We have the most powerful box. We're going to drop something. The interesting part is obviously all the costs, because, PS5 costs at the manufacturer reportedly haven't come down much. But I also think that this is going to be a premium device.
Transistor cost in general hasn't come down much. That's why we're seeing even AMD against NVIDIA. Usually their prices are much better, but they haven't been, because you can't build a better machine without making it more expensive at this point, because before you would move to new transistors, they'd be cheaper, you could put more in, boom, you get more performance. Nowadays, you want more transistors, well, you have to spend more money. So unless they come out with like an $800 PS5 Pro, like what's it really even gonna be? Like above like PS5 in terms of power? Like why is it even gonna be its purpose of existence? I could see if they were with NVIDIA, I could see them adding stuff like DLSS 3 or something like that could really help get, push like 120 FPS or something. But they don't. And so like maybe AMD comes out with their version, but that would work on the normal PS5 anyways, so why would you need a PS5 Pro? There's no real need for new hardware, because all their features just would work anyways. That would give them a significant boost. I'm just failing to see like how they're going to make a box that's compelling.
So here's the way you got to look at it. PS4 Pro wasn't a big seller for them. It did all right. It did fine. 1 out of every 5 PS5s from the moment PS4 Pro came out was a PS4 Pro sale. But that also means 4 out of 5 were not. So they look at it as a premium device. It's about hitting on a premium market with a premium device. It's a marketing tool. It's all it is. It's going to say Xbox can't do what we're doing, because Xbox has already said publicly they are not releasing a mid-gen, more powerful system. They're just not doing it this time.
Series X is like their
thing. Series X. Yeah, basically, Phil Spencer argued we launched both at the same time. It was their argument. And fine, and the Series X is more powerful in some ways. The thing is, this wouldn't be, the rumored specs aren't like this thing that blows the PS5 out of the water. What it's trying to do is make 4K 60 an actual selling point of the company, because right now games are basically either 4K 30 or 1080p or 1440p 60, and they have 8K on the damn box, and they can't even get 4K games to run at 60. So a lot of it is just marketing. It's all being able to say we're doing it and no one else is. It's just mind share. It's making people be like, hey, you want the most premium gaming experience? You always go Sony. Always go play. Don't even worry about Xbox. Oh, they got Game Pass? That's cute. We have the premium gaming experience.
I don't think
it's all
Sony's
just a mind
worried
share.
about having the most powerful console. Like right now, they don't. They didn't with a PS4 Pro either. Not even close.
Well,
and they basically went with like almost the exact same hardware as Xbox, because that's just like what was there.
So Brandon, I think
don't
you're
see
right. I think
the point of them having the biggest box. I really don't think it adds that much mind share, to be honest.
I'll just put my thoughts on this. I think you're right in saying that Sony doesn't necessarily want to have the most powerful system out there. I mean, obviously power is important, but I also think it's kind of what you said, Nate, where it's more about it's marketing, right? It's kind of putting their name out there, being in the conversation. You look at how they've handled this Microsoft merger with Activision. Like, they fought tooth and nail for what? It had seemed inevitable, right? Like, they are very cutthroat with Nintendo and Microsoft. They don't like doing cross-platform play for online games.
Yeah, they were pissed about
like,
MLB The Show. They were not happy with that.
They make moves that are combative. So my perspective is that if they can get out a PS5 Pro, as some reports are indicating, by next year, then to me that does say that they are trying to, put something out there so they can be in the conversation. And obviously it's not going to be something that is going to outclass the Switch 2, because it's going to be two different things, right? Like, the PS5 is already a pretty powerful system in comparison to anything Nintendo is offering, right? And that's not going to change when Nintendo brings out the Switch 2. The PS5 is still going to be way more powerful. It's not about the power. It's about having something new and shiny, something that appeals to maybe it's just adding another niche to what they're appealing to, right? Because you look at like sales, right? Like, it's kind of interesting looking at like sales in Japan, because you look at there's Nintendo Switch OLED, and then there's PS5, and then it's Nintendo Switch, and then it's Switch Lite, and then it's PS4 Pro and things like that. So it's kind of like, you look at like the sales breakdown. Nintendo has multiple SKUs that are selling better than almost everything but PS5, and PS5 is still not number one. Maybe Sony just wants to try and get out more SKUs that can sell, so they can compete a little bit better, have a little bit more attention, and it's really that simple. It's nothing crazy. It's not about, stomping Nintendo out of existence. It's not about saying, hey, we're the best system, most powerful piece of hardware ever. They might use that for
also,
marketing.
they can think Microsoft is bluffing.
You think they're bluffing?
Because they said years ago, like, this thing was rumored to been like in development for years. So, like, just because Phil said something publicly, you could be like, yeah, but what happens if he says that, so then we're not going to do it, and then all of a sudden they do it.
Plans change.
So, like, it could literally just be we don't believe Microsoft's not going to do it, so we're doing it.
Yeah. Anyways, my only point
Because they definitely don't need to lose back-to-back headlines to Microsoft, where not only, do we are buying up all these big publishers, oh, by the way, we're Microsoft. We're going to launch an even more powerful box, same gen, and also charge $500 and really turn that screw into Sony, because they don't care about making money on system sales right now.
I think they would be losing too much to sell it.
No, I don't. After this Activision Blizzard deal, where they just turned a negative into a net of $5 billion plus profits every year, they got money to play.
Yeah, but I mean, they're already losing a lot of money on their consoles, even more than Sony. They're losing a lot of money on the Series X. Whereas Sony actually, if you want to argue for a PS5 Pro, they're actually getting close to breaking even on PS5 now. So,
do you have any sources on the cost?
Not current.
Because
I have sauce.
Because
I got some sauces.
Because when we had the last credible source I found online for this was back in 2021, with middle of the pandemic, struggling to get parts, and they were selling both systems at profit back in 2021. It was $450 to make. They were selling it for $500, and the Series S was like $200 to make, and they were selling it for $300. So I'm sitting there just glancing at that, and I know that you talked about some prices going up, but prices of other components have also come down once we got out of the pandemic. So, like, I'm very curious, like, if they're actually losing money on system sales, because Sony posted record profits last fiscal year. So I don't like it's kind of weird to feel like they're losing money, but also we have record profits.
That's kind of true for every generation, though. Like, they always lose money on their consoles. They make it back with the software. That's just how that works.
I'm just saying, in 2021, when like, if they were making money on the systems in 2021, I don't really think they were losing money for very long on these systems. Not like last gens.
This is not what I've heard. I'm
Getting
not,
back
I'm not
to the
gonna
Switch
say
stuff.
I'm an expert.
Yeah.
And there's a number of
on
super
that.
chats.
I want to get this out of you. I want to
Yeah,
establish
bring this to the Switch stuff. Yeah.
Right. So, yeah.
Like I think if there's any truth to this, and I'm sure Nintendo could find out, just literally talk to the people manufacturing their shit because they manufacture everyone's shit. Then Nintendo, I think the only impact it has on them is if they were thinking holiday next year, maybe they launch it a little bit sooner, just to have their own little launch window. It's the only impact I really think it would have on Nintendo.
Yeah, I don't think
Otherwise,
they would
really
delay
think
their
it's gonna matter.
system for it or anything like that.
No, yeah. And they might not even care. Screw it. We'll go up against you head to head in the holiday with you launching your new thing. You do
gotta be
that.
a niche
'Cause
thing either way.
our new thing is 300, so or whatever
Yeah.
Nintendo decides to charge.
Nintendo's thing is going to be a mainstream product, and the PS5 Pro, even if it does come out, it's going to be a very niche thing.
Right.
So it's not like it's going to be exactly competitive anyways.
No, it won't. Like, I mean, it's not like, oh man, the PS5 Pro is selling
The
at
type of
$600.
people want to buy a PS5 Pro are not the type of people
I also
who are gonna buy
think
a
you're
Switch day
downselling
one.
how powerful this new Switch is going to be, but
It's going to be as powerful
because he said it won't
as-
be anywhere close to a PS4 Pro, and I'm just like,
I'm telling you
I don't
right
know if you
now,
know
it's
what
not
modern
going to be. I know
You-
very well what modern technology is. Actually, thank you very much.
I think we should have a boxing
I didn't
match.
say I didn't say that you don't. I said I don't think you understand what's happening at Nvidia right now. We have a pretty good idea of what the specs of the systems are going to be already. There's a nice article up on Eurogamer about it today, and those specs they're nice.
Is it based off the T239?
They're nice. Yes,
Yeah.
and they're very nice. They're very nice, and it's a much more modern architecture. So
Oh, of
while it
course.
might have like less T-flops ain't the whole story.
Oh yeah, of course not.
So like, yeah, there's some stuff going on. By the way, guys, I'm not gonna sit here and tell you that it's about you're getting a PS4 Pro in your pocket. I'm just saying that like there's some interesting things going on. It's not even bleeding edge tech. That's the weird thing. It's not the.
Well, I
bleeding
mean,
edge.
Switch tech's 2015 tech, so you don't have to
Well,
go
I know,
bleeding edge
but I'm
to be
saying
a big jump, right?
Let's say the T239 isn't bleeding edge tech, basically.
Right.
It's not. But
it's not.
the supposed specs, like, it's not looking that far off. But we'll see. Obviously, we don't have it in hand. But anyways, my biggest thing is I don't know what they're going to launch this thing at. Like, I think it's launching next year no matter what. I just don't know what the price is going to be.
The price will be tricky. I could definitely
Like 300 is
see
such a sweet
$400.
spot consumer, like mass consumer wise.
Really
300
is.
is such a nice
Yeah.
spot.
Yeah. I think you're onto something. So I'm gonna more than double it. It's gonna launch for $700.
700.
Yep.
I'd
There.
buy it if it's sufficiently powerful, dude. I'll buy it.
It's gonna be
I mean, yeah.
Yeah. Yep, $700.
Heck, in my perfect world, they'd release a console that's like, like PS5 power or better, and then it wouldn't be portable. I'd
Oh.
buy that.
It's actually gonna be called the Switch Backpack.
It's not gonna happen.
So
Switch backpack.
it is bigger than a PS5, but
like
you
this,
wear it on your
actually.
back, and by doing
Does
that,
backpack
it's
have
still
like
portable.
solar panels on it?
It will have
Is that
solar
the spec
panels,
tech?
so that will minimize the power consumption. You will
Yeah.
still be able to remove the battery. That way you can play it in Europe. And it's gonna have VR as well. Since you're already wearing a backpack, might as well wear a VR headset too.
There we go.
Yep.
There we
Yep.
go.
And only for $700. Like, that's actually a great deal. It's
Like,
portable. It's more powerful
do
than a
think-
PS5. It's got VR. That's a fantastic deal.
Like I
Value.
keep trying to think like how they could get this thing to be at a price because Nintendo doesn't like selling for a loss. Even
Yeah,
if the
they
margins are really thin,
Yeah.
they still want it to be profitable. So I'm sitting there, I'm like, okay, so you can get like a low level Steam Deck for 400. Now this is weird because we're not comparing like apples to apples here because
No.
they're technically both systems using completely different
Very,
architecture with completely different companies. Like using ARM
Very different
processors.
software as well.
Yeah, using ARM processors and NVIDIA tech is not the same as using Ryzen and all that stuff. So I don't really know,
Unoptimized
and I don't know what the
games,
contracts are, and I don't know what the yields are. That's the biggest thing is how good the yields are on the chips. That usually is a huge factor on what things
Very
cost.
true.
And maybe that's also one reason why Nintendo likes to go with a little bit older architecture, not the latest and greatest, because usually there's better yields and that's why it's cheaper. And the T239 is something that has been mass produced at one point, at least in test runs, but it was an altered version for a different product. I think that I keep wondering how they're gonna get that, how they're gonna get the cost down.
I mean, I think the max is gotta be
can you even go back to an LCD screen?
God,
Is
I
that
hope
like
not. 'Cause
like,
then I'll be
can you
wanting the
after
OLED
OLED?
version, bro.
And I sit there and I'm like, an OLED's their number one seller, so they're proving a $350 price point could still be appealing in the market. You know, I know a lot of people think, oh, they'll go to 400, and I'm like, yeah, I'll buy it at 400, but I don't know that that's a good launch price for a brand new product.
Right. Here's the problem with 400. 400 would work in the now, right? Like even next year, I think it would work. But the thing is,
you got to be willing to lower it.
Right. That's the problem. That I don't think 400 works long term, because the early adopters are going to buy the system regardless, right? Like they're going to be, it's going to be tough
All
for
new
them
tech sells out at launch,
meet with demand immediately. That's kind of how it always. I think even the Wii, maybe not the Wii U, but
the Wii U sold out at launch.
Okay, I remember going in and I didn't buy Wii U at launch. I bought it a few weeks removed from launch. I walked into a Walmart in December. I saw Wii U's and I just picked it up. So it wasn't hard to get.
Yes.
It wasn't like
it wasn't hard to get. It was like the first 3 days it sold out.
Yeah.
It never sold out again after that.
It wasn't like the Wii. I remember the Wii. Like that was that was
every shipment that came in. They couldn't even get it into the store. People were lined up outside for it.
That was a mission.
Yeah.
So Nintendo starting at 400, that they'll be fine in the beginning, but they'll have to drop the price eventually. And by eventually,
that's why I think 350 can work, and I think that's what's nice for them to see that they launched the OLED, and the OLED instantly became a bestseller at 350. I think Nintendo now goes, we can launch at 350 and hit mass market. I think that's the price they want to target.
Do we have? I know we've gone like OLED updates from Japan, but do we have a solid number of how many OLEDs have been sold since it launched in 2021 worldwide?
I do not know.
I wonder how significant.
We don't know.
Is.
The only thing we know is that it is the number one SKU out of all the Switches sold every time. But since it launched, but we don't know.
Yeah.
We don't know outside of Japan. We have exact numbers, but we.
Yeah. So I mean, the reason I ask, right, is because I wonder. While yes, 350 they have shown that 350 can do well. Is 350 the ideal price though? Because
but here's the thing. This is what I always remember. It only has to do well for about 1.5 to 2 years. Then they're going to launch a cheaper model anyways. They're going to launch another light.
Yeah, but that light better be able to dock.
Well, I mean, it probably won't, but I'm just, it probably won't. I mean, I know I would like them in an ideal world to like
this game on sale.
Yeah, it's one of those. I like the $300 price point, but I can see how, like, because they haven't dropped the price on anything, that people will feel like launching this at 350 is like a massive budget sell. Because literally before about 6 months ago, 350 only got you a Switch OLED. Now it's getting you a next generation Switch. Like, people are gonna feel like it's a really good deal, and that could be part of the reason why Nintendo's held the prices as long as they have. Because they're just like, hey, why drop the prices? We're still selling well, and also, this is gonna make our next system look like a steal.
Yeah. So it kind of begs the question, like, how are they gonna do that transition? Like, how are they gonna
lower all the other Switches by $50?
Only?
Yeah, this is Nintendo. Yeah, probably only. I know.
There's more incentive to buy the new thing, I guess.
Yeah, they don't make the price gap so large people don't want to buy the new one because that's what you really want to push people over to.
Maybe this pricing situation.
This is Nintendo. They're like,
man.
Dude, they're like the Apple of the video games. Like,
they totally are. That's
They
such
are not
a great comparison, actually.
They are not gonna. They don't like. They only drop prices when they're desperate for sales.
Yeah,
they're not desperate.
I
guess
they'll
cut the price because they can't justify selling OLED and new gen next to each other at the same price. But like, it's not gonna be that much of a cut. Not unless people are just not buying Switches anymore. or it got to the point that they stopped manufacturing them and they're still not selling, and there's like millions in a warehouse. Then they'll be like, all right, we got to budget all these down.
I just don't
get rid of them.
I can't. My brain cannot wrap my head around this idea that for $50 more you get a next generation No Leap. Like, that just doesn't make any sense, you know?
Well, you know what also doesn't make any sense? An Xbox One X was more expensive than the Xbox Series S.
Yeah.
Series S is more powerful, right?
In some ways, and less than others.
It's
a give or
it's
take.
basically, yeah. It basically, because it's a newer architecture, it ends up being slightly better overall. But it throws punches with it. It throws punches.
Yeah.
With it. But it's one of those. It's one of those that the point isn't really about how much the power gap is, because obviously the power gap here is going to be much more significant. But it's also, if people are still buying these Switches in like at a pace of 8 to 10 mil a year, like, why are we gonna, let's just cut the price? They think that's gonna make sales go up even more. I just don't see, unless they're completely phasing. Like, I don't know. It's one of those. That's why I said, what price could they get away with? Well, if this is selling at $350, then this could sell at $400. I'm like, yeah, but then you got to think long haul. That $400 price tag ain't gonna look good 2 years from now. But
maybe they should release a cheaper model then. That's what you said
just
earlier.
release your console on sale like we used to see back in the day.
I get that, but I just don't think they're gonna launch at $400 and then cut price. I think they feel like if we launch at $350 and just maintain $350 for 7 years,
that would be better if they can do that.
They're gonna make way more money doing that.
If they can do that, that's the thing.
I think
we don't know how much this thing's gonna cost. They may only set at $400.
I mean, we gotta remember,
cost them $390 to
the
make.
Switch launched in 2017, and it's still MSRP $299. In fact, all they did is release a cheap model that barely anybody buys. The Switch Lite's the worst selling system of the three. You go, it is literally factually. We have the numbers from Nintendo. It is the worst selling one.
Wait, the Switch Lite.
And then the OLED. And then the more expensive one that just gave us a shinier screen. I mean, a little bit more than that. Some quality of life updates, but basically a shinier screen. And all of a sudden, it's outselling their base model every month.
I'll tell you this about the Switch Lite. Almost every time I run into someone who has a Switch Lite, and we're like, "Oh, so you got a?" And they're like, "Oh yeah, I got a Switch. Awesome." And like, "Yeah, but it's a Lite though, so I can't dock it." Like, there's always like that moment.
Yeah, because it's not a Switch.
Because it's a Switch, it doesn't switch.
Yeah.
I know. I criticized this when they announced it.
Yeah, this is why I didn't think they were gonna release it. I was like, "This is the stupidest thing I've ever heard."
I remember,
there's no way they'll do this.
Then I remembered. Well, they did release a 2DS that doesn't have 3D.
True. But nobody cared about 3D.
This is a Nintendo thing. This is a Nintendo thing. Like,
the 3D
core feature.
3D
in the name.
Sell your system though.
Yeah.
It just became like a standard. You know?
But part of the reason it didn't dock was because it was smaller and didn't fit in the other docks and didn't come with it. It was part of cost cutting. It's what made it $200.
Yeah, I always thought they would release like a separate dock that you could have later. That's like smaller.
Yeah, but they never did. Or they could have just put the video chip in there that enabled it, and anyone that wants to just plug a little cable in, would also have made it work. But they had said nope. Third-party docks, nope. We don't even put the chip in this damn thing for you to do it.
Yeah, it doesn't have it.
Yeah.
So I just think that Switch 2 is, or whatever they call this damn thing, is going to be in a pretty good position next year, as long as they got a nice little lineup for the first 6 months, which they'll probably detail the lineup a little bit more than that. We knew about Mario Odyssey a little bit out, so we'll know a good chunk of the lineup, because they want to entice people not just to buy at launch, but to have confidence buying, whenever they can get their hands on one. And I think that the price point is going to always be the big stickler. I know a lot of you out there have been screaming 400 for months and months and months over this, and I just think they've never seen success going that high. I just don't see them being like, our device is 400, so is a PS5.
I guess so this is my perspective.
One of Nintendo's selling points is always that, like, we're cheaper.
Sure.
But then they're not cheaper than the S.
Yeah. But it depends how you perceive the value, right? Because the thing is, I think something that's even though it's right in our faces, I think whenever you have these conversations, it's kind of undervalued.
And if it's also
just the
if it
switching
somehow is slightly more powerful than a Steam Deck,
yeah,
they'll also go, oh, the Steam Deck is how much again? Yeah, we're cheaper.
I hear you.
That was like a thing that people were in the media going like, oh man, for $50 more, you can just have a Steam Deck.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what I was trying to get at is just that the Switch is both a portable system and a home console. It's both. And I think that fact is just kind of, even though it's right in our faces, we sort of undervalue how big of a deal that is. It's basically two systems in one. So, you know, if when you think of it from that perspective, and I understand it's not about what I think, it's not about how you can break it down, it's about what reaches
I know.
the mass
This was
market.
a thing we said way back in the day in 2017 all the time. Yeah.
Point is though, is that I think, you know, if you can make a very compelling argument that a Switch 2 at $400 is a better deal than a PS5 at $400. But
well, it'll have the same selling point argument. Like if it's still a hybrid system, it's going to have the same argument. Like, hey, we're the one that you can put in a dock, play in your TV, and
anyways, my take on this is I see what you're saying. The only thing that really gets me is the relationship between Switch and Switch 2, what that's going to look like. I kind of feel that $50...
Same relationship as PS4 and PS5.
And what's the price difference between those?
Don't matter. They don't make PS4s anymore.
Well, they still sell them.
They haven't manufactured PS4s in a year and a half.
I'm still seeing sales on the updates.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sure.
They're already shipped
sure.
though.
Sure.
Yeah. Those are the ones already shipped. Yeah, they don't make them anymore. Like they basically kept their contract and made it.
Now.
Yeah. So I don't know if the pandemic might have made them stop making them sooner than they wanted, so they could focus more on the PS5. But
that would make sense.
But it's one of those that like. Yeah, they'll still make some. Like they're not going to stop making Switch when the new system comes out, but are they going to be making them at 10 mil a year? Nah.
All I'm getting at is that I think $50 is too little of a gap between a next gen and not. I think it's got to be 100. So maybe we see a tremendous slash between now and when the next system comes out. Maybe it's holiday 2024. Maybe the reason why Switch 2 is not going to come out till the end of next year is because of the value. You know, like the positioning of when it makes the most sense to introduce it at the right price point in the market, you know? Which is, I think, something Nintendo would look at. They may look at it more because of how good the Switch is doing in terms of sales. They may be able to afford to not rush the Switch 2 to market and think about the right timing of when to introduce it. And there's going to be a lot of factors going into
They obviously know about the right timing. I don't think anything's rushed at this point. Like they know when they know what they're doing.
But you understand my point, though, right? It's just that they may be
I get your point, and I
yeah.
think you just don't. I don't know if you quite understand how much like Apple and Nintendo behaves. Like literally, the iPhone 13 Pro Max was the same price as the iPhone 14 Pro Max up to the day before the 14 Pro Max came out.
Oh yeah, I don't think they're gonna drop.
Like
the
Nintendo
Switch
views their
until the
things
next
as we
comes
make
out.
a premium gaming device. We make a device that even after this new one comes out, people are going to keep playing for years. And so they will just look at it as we're still selling millions. Why would we lower the price? Same reason they don't lower the price of their games. We're still selling millions. Why would we lower the price?
I'll say that
it's just
you look at
Nintendo's
the
logic.
software. The software maintains value for years, right? Like I don't remember. I don't know if it's like this now, but like there are 3DS games that are still like full retail price. It was like that for years into Switch's lifespan, which is crazy. So
Nintendo
for the
doesn't lower
software end,
prices.
that's evident. If with hardware, it's a little harder because we don't see it as often. But
well,
yeah,
they stopped manufacturing Wii U. Did they cut the price?
Well, that was but that's the problem with the Wii U is it was such a weird case because it was a dead system for a long time.
All right. How about the Wii? Let's go with a system that wasn't dead.
That makes sense. If you can find the pricing on that.
Yeah, I know. I don't know. And it kind of was dying out by the time we got there. That's the problem. Nintendo's never actually had something selling well heading into the next.
Remember
thing.
the red box without a disc? Like they had different.
Yeah, the Wii Mini that
yeah
they stopped.
Not without a disc, without a GameCube drive. I meant. Yeah, because it needed a disc.
Yeah, it's like the Wii family or something.
Yeah.
Weird.
Yeah, the red and black one was the Wii Mini. It didn't even have Wi-Fi. It was meant, as they said, for cabins in the middle of nowhere.
I don't even know.
I didn't understand the
Interesting.
marketing for it at all, and
So,
it went out of manufacturing.
I want to get to a few super chats here.
Yeah.
A few super
Yeah, like
chats have
3 or
come
4 of
in.
them.
Yeah, I want to get to these real quick. So let's see here. All right, so I think the last one, the first one that I haven't gone to, Taker610, thank you for that super chat, buddy. Since the Tears of the Kingdom OLED leaks turned out to be real, does that make it more likely or less that we get a legit Switch 2 leak months in advance? Since the Tears of the Kingdom OLED leaks turned out to be real, does that make it more likely or less that we get a legit Switch 2 leak months in advance? So okay, so I guess I understand the point. If Nintendo's OLED was leaked months in advance, could the Switch 2 itself be leaked months in advance? I think it's less likely. I'm not saying it's impossible. I mean,
it's like way cracking harder down on that than an OLED edition.
Yeah, it's gonna be a little bit tighter, but I also think it probably will be leaked to some extent. We're gonna hear about. There's gonna be a rumor. There's gonna be something.
There's gonna be leaks.
Oh yeah.
There's always been leaks. There was leaks for Switch before.
We basically knew what Switch was. We just didn't know what it looked like.
We just didn't we just didn't believe it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There was that too. Like Switch OLED, we had a bunch of leaks about that early. Switch Lite, we had leaks about that early. This is one of those things that all the systems get leaks before they come out, because the leaks don't just come from manufacturing, which is one way that we get them. They also come from developers with dev units. Like we're going to get leaks. We're going to know what the specs of the thing are before it comes out. We're going to know a lot even before Nintendo even announces it. Now, here's the thing.
We won't know everything.
When you're talking a few months before launch, we're already going to know what it is. We're already going to have seen it at that point when you're a few months from launch.
Yeah.
So like that kind of leak, like just seeing what it is, no. That will probably not necessarily get leaked unless it's in a patent, or which it probably won't be, because the final design of Switch didn't pop up in a patent until after they revealed it. So it'll probably be, if anything, I don't even think a dev unit will leak. I'll say this: it's possible that like the box leaks. I could see someone try to sneak a cell phone pic of the box, if that's what you're wondering. If we don't know what the final retail packaging is yet,
perhaps.
But like, it's not like what made that Zelda OLED leak kind of unique was just that we've had special edition leaks, but we've never had like the whole box and the system leak as like actual like almost final pictures. And we've never had that necessarily. We've just had like, oh, there's going to be a Splatoon 3 special edition. So I do think that it's always possible. I think that person who leaked it probably doesn't work at that company anymore. But yeah, leaks always happen. I can't remember a single system launch since the internet existed that we didn't basically know everything.
Well, we didn't know what the OLED was exactly. We thought it was gonna be a Pro.
7-inch OLED screen. All that happened was Takahashi, Machizuki.
We had details.
Combined manufacturing sources with developer sources. Developers had dev kits for this Pro that, at least according to Digital Foundry, and it was a real thing, and they got recalled because Nintendo scrapped it.
I heard about that. Yeah.
So that was where one sources came from, and then it got conflated with manufacturing sources. Exactly. If you separate the two, the manufacturing sources got everything right. Ethernet port, the kickstand design being like a Microsoft Surface tablet, 7-inch OLED display. Like technically, the OLED was leaked. Yeah, we just were conflating it because everyone thought it was going to be this Pro system, and it probably was supposed to be at one point. So because you don't have that many developers of dev units talking about it with, everyone, and then just that clearly was the plan for that system at one point.
Yeah, the distinction I want to make is just that you're totally right. We got the details, and there was some confusion because there was other things out there about the Pro, right, that was scrapped. But
And that won't happen this time.
So we knew what it was.
This is gonna be one system.
Yeah, we knew what. Yeah, we knew what it was in terms of that. The information was out there, but we didn't know how it would look exactly. We didn't have like pictures of it, right? Like we had with the OLED, and I don't think we had pictures of the light either. I don't remember exactly, but I'm pretty sure there was like rumors about that too before it was coming out.
Yeah, there was. Yeah, we knew what the light was before it came
but
out.
we just didn't have pictures of it, right? Like, and so there's kind of like leaks on a spectrum, right? Like there can be little details.
Well, we had screen size, and then non-detachable Joy-Cons, and won't dock. Those were the things that leaked, and so there were mock-ups that were pretty much right on the size. Because as soon as you know what the screen size is, you could just be like shrink down what we currently have, and you basically know.
You can envision it. I'm just saying
the chipset leaked as well.
The
chipset and the battery one as well.
What I'm trying to get at is just that we're gonna know about a lot probably before Nintendo officially announces it. But there's still going to be some level of surprise factor when it is shown off. And I also think because we're talking about a next generation system, not just a revision, there may be some features or things that we haven't heard about yet when they do finally show it off. Like, remember, we knew about the Switch, right? Like, Eurogamer told us the major details, but we didn't know. I don't think we knew about HD Rumble, for example. Like, there were some little things that surprised people. There may have been some patches or something.
Do we still know about HD Rumble?
What?
I wish they used it more.
Look, it's a thing. But here we are in 2023. Is it really still a thing?
Is it a big
Pikmin 4
deal?
uses it a little bit.
Yeah, a little bit, sure.
It's used. It's
just
a subtle thing.
But
Tears of Kingdom Basic doesn't use it.
It felt like a big deal.
I thought it used it.
Until I held this.
Oh
and
yeah, dude, the PS5 is so much better.
Sure. Well, maybe the Switch will have
the
PS5
PS5 controllers in the world
or whatever.
Yeah, this like makes HD Rumble look like a Fisher Price toy.
It really does.
Yeah.
And the way they use it in games is actually really nice. Like they actually use it pretty often.
And look,
the games
I'm not like a big Sony guy, but this is the first controller they've ever made. I actually like it.
I love Sony. I do dislike a lot of their controllers. I like the PS4, but the PS3 controller. The PS3 controller is like one of the worst. I hate that thing. It's so tiny and hard to use. Ugh.
I've hated all DualShocks, but this DualSense does it for me, man.
Yeah,
I actually like the
it's
PS4
pretty nice.
one pretty well.
A lot of people like the PS4 one.
In the interest of time, though, I'm going to continue on with the other super chats, guys. We are wrapping up the discussion, so if there's any questions or anything, post in the chat, and I'll try and get to it at me or super chat, one or the other. They're more likely to get to it then, but we are wrapping up. So let me get back to. All right, so then this next super chat here, Brian Doe, thank you for a super chat. I'm not going to buy a PS5 Pro. I'm going to spend the same amount of money on a used laser projector, 150-inch Full HD screen for less. If you already have a PS5 and you don't need it to be 4K 60 across the board, then I think that's a great idea. Like, I don't think it's for everyone. I think the PS5 Pro is probably going to be a niche product. I think we all agree with that, at least here on this panel.
If you're looking to get a laser projector too, at 150 inches, please try to get a 4K laser.
Yeah.
Full HD looks like it looks really bad on 150 inches.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
It's really bad. You're gonna feel like you're watching a 480p image.
It's rough.
Yeah.
The pixels per inch is so low.
There might be a reason that it's that cheap.
Yeah. Brian
People
does
don't want
add
it anymore.
Yeah.
Brian does add with this additional super chat. Thank you. With inflation, the price has actually dropped. And now on to the final super chat I have here, Samuel A. Thank you, buddy. I think Nintendo Switch 2 will launch at $350. Starting to think early 2024 is unlikely, though. Sadly, probably late 2024 ATP at this point. There you go. Figuring out the acronyms. What has changed between now and a few weeks ago where some of us thought early 2024? Is it just because it hasn't been announced yet? Were we expecting an announcement yet? I'm
not expecting an announcement this year anymore.
What changed?
I thought the only way it gets announced this year is that it comes out this year. What changed is we're at the end of July. So it's not coming. Not this year.
I don't think it's going to be early next year either.
I think it's going to be summer next year. And they'll announce it early next year.
Huh.
Yeah.
By summer, do you mean like... I guess that would be like... I could see August. June, July? Oh, that's earlier than I would think. I don't know. It could happen. Nintendo's
I know,
done weird things with their release dates. I would never expect it to Tears of the Kingdom to launch when it did. So.
Switch came out in March. Like, look, you have a good platform and good software. It don't matter when you launch.
Yeah, I think I understand the point that as time progresses, like it's less and less likely that they're going to announce it this year. Like I get that. I still think
not giving up on Team 2023.
Oh, I gave up on Team 2023 a long time ago. I'm right now. I'm just fighting for Team early 2024. Which I'm not. I'm not even saying I'm on that
December
team.
Announcement.
No, I would think.
Get everyone to try to rush to get refunds before Christmas.
I think an announcement August or September, for conceivably October. I doubt it. August or September for an early release next year. But otherwise,
probably have a price drop.
They would have to have a price drop, though.
Yeah, they would not survive the holiday without a price drop.
They would have to have a price
drop. And when I
say
survive, their software is still going to sell. That's not.
Yeah.
They already have all those Switches out there. Like the software is going to sell.
They would have to have a price drop.
Not to kill hardware sales.
So, I haven't given up, but the thing, I haven't really picked a side, right? Like, one day I might be leaning this way, the next day I might be leaning another. Early 2024, I don't think it's out of the question, but I do think time is running out. So we'll see.
And they typically launch home consoles during holiday. And if they still consider it a home console, you could be like, oh, then 2024 holiday, which is exactly what like the article from Nikkei basically said.
I thought they were expecting it mid 2024.
No, they said it wouldn't come out before the middle of 2024.
So at the earliest. Yeah.
Like it wouldn't come out before then, so then it would be after June, and then you're just like, oh, what does that mean? Okay, well, holiday probably.
Yeah.
And then Nate the Hate says that he thinks it's coming out. He doesn't know. He's clarified it's just an opinion. He doesn't know, but he thinks it's holiday next year. Holiday 2024 I think is always just a safe bet. If you think it's next year, picking the holiday season, which is when they typically launch home consoles. Sure.
Right. Yeah.
But also, they've proven they can launch it whenever. And so if they announce it early in the year, do they really need to wait 8 months? Or can they just drop it in 3? Can they drop it in 4? It'd be great.
Yeah.
I think they could do either.
As long
as they got the games to back it up.
I'm very curious how Metroid Prime 4 is a part of this equation, because I don't think they're gonna have it as a launch day title if 3D Mario is not too far off. It depends though. Like if let's say it's an early release, then I could see Prime 4 being a launch title, because 3D Mario would be like the holiday showcase. But
I think they both are launch titles.
The launch window.
No, I think they're legitimately at launch of the system.
Day
both
one.
Drop in day one.
But
you got to remember though. You got to remember. You got to remember
disagree.
Because Metroid Prime 4 is going to be cross-gen. The Mario game won't be. And not everybody's going to be able to even buy the new thing to play Mario.
I get what you're saying. Still no.
Why? Can't have 2 big sellers at launch?
That's not how they did this. Handle the Switch. And if the system's backwards compatible, they don't even have to release 2 games. They didn't have
games ready.
No, they had games. No.
Those games ready.
That's not true. They what they did was intentional. They had 3D Mario Odyssey could have released early in 2017. The game was done. They intentionally waited. The OBS.
They needed a big game for the holidays. Yeah, they spread the games out. They had a bunch of games done. The only game that maybe felt rushed was maybe Xenoblade a bit. Maybe that could have used a bit more refinement.
And that I think was just more about trying to get a Xenoblade game out on the launch year because they wanted to have the evergreen boost.
Well, the hype cycle's building to see.
Yeah,
ingrained in early adopters that, hey, we're going to have Xenoblade a lot. And they did have a lot of Xenoblade this year.
Xenoblade 2 is currently, as last I checked, the best-selling game in the series. So, it worked to some effect.
Yeah, Definitive Edition did pretty decent. 3 is doing all right. So.
Yeah, they're fine. I just think if you account for backwards compatibility and you account for the fact that both are core-centric Nintendo titles that are both going to be adventure games. There is obviously they're very different, but there are also some similarity there. There's crossover. I don't see them releasing on the same day. Maybe they could be a month apart, or 2 months apart, 3 months apart. Like I think that's reasonable. I don't see the same day. No.
I'm gonna start it. I'm starting this hashtag tomorrow. Hashtag same day. Metroid Prime 4 3D Mario.
Good luck. I wish you the best of luck.
I don't think the crossovers as much as you think, because if it was, Metroid would sell a lot better. I think Metroid fans buy Metroid. They don't really care what else launches.
I think Metroid fans also play Mario.
Sure.
Maybe not as many. Obviously, not as many Mario fans play Metroid because Metroid would have more sales. But
well, no.
Yeah. I think
but I don't think a Metroid fan's going to skip a Metroid just because a Mario came out.
I just
don't see them being like, I'm skipping. I'm skipping.
Listen,
I love Metroid. We get so many of them, I'm going to skip this one. I know.
Yeah, but we also
nobody who wants Prime 4 is skipping Prime 4.
We also don't get too many 3D Marios. Listen. It's just
a lot more than we do Metroids.
You can believe what you want, but that's not going to happen. Right? You believe what you want. You make a good argument, but that's not going to happen.
And there's going to be so many Switch owners that can't even buy the new Mario game because they won't be able to play it.
Yeah.
And lots of them are going to be like, what's our holiday game then? Metroid Prime 4.
They'll just buy a Switch 2 and play 3D Mario instead.
But they won't be able to get their hands. Do you all know? Do you forget how hard it is? There's not even a guarantee all of us YouTubers are going to be able to get a Switch 2.
Well, I'll get it
at launch.
I'll get it.
What do you got? You got some deep, underhanded backdoor connection?
I got 2 Switches at launch.
That's good.
I have the power of effort and planning.
I have the power of effort and planning too. And if Nintendo announces it and pre-orders go up the same second, I'm in the middle of reacting to the announcement while the pre-orders are gone.
Listen, this is what I'm gonna. Yeah, I understand that. What I'm gonna do, as soon as that day or the morning after, I'm gonna go to every single GameStop, every single Best Buy, until I can get a pre-order. That's simple. I know I won't be able to order it digitally, which, by the way,
online's almost impossible.
By the way, that's a bad idea because you could have a delayed shipment, which almost always happens.
And what if they pull a PS5 and it's only available online?
I will hate my life.
Because that's what they did. That's what part of made PS5 such a hassle.
Then at that point,
you had to order online.
I'm gonna
Didn't
ask
they
my
blame
network,
that on pandemic
I'm
stuff?
gonna email the Nintendo
they said,
ambassador
it's pandemic
program.
as people are lined up outside the store day one to get their online pre-orders. I'm like, wow, pandemic. Excuse.
Another thing, maybe I'll have someone on my team or a friend or family is like, listen, I need you to order this for me. Right, here's my card.
I know. Trust me. I know. I try making all those plans too, but sometimes the best plans, if the demand for this thing is insane.
Whenever I've needed a system, immediately I've gotten it. I am not worried. I will not give up. It will happen.
I will say I've gotten any system I wanted to get at launch. I've gotten because I'm very determined to get it.
Right.
Sometimes I even get it early, like the Switch OLED that I paid extra to have it early.
No.
But it's
nice.
Yeah.
It happens.
Yeah.
I don't want to explain how it happens. It just the funny thing is it came from California, so like it wasn't even around me. It's not like I have some local connect. Oh yeah, this guy who runs this game store.
Plug.
He just hooks me up. Like no.
Gets you the good stuff.
I think it's great that I still have my launch day Switch. Like I never upgraded. I at this point it's just we're marathoning to the end.
Marathoning to the end.
Yeah. It's just,
how's it? Is that the one with the duct tape and everything?
It's not duct tape. It's a skin. It's a Zelda skin that is neatly laid over a big, massive crack on the outer shell.
Oh God.
They
that's pretty common
shell
for
replacements, right?
Yeah, I like the war.
He could buy an OLED if he wanted to.
I mean, you could literally buy an OEM replacement shell for like $10 on Amazon.
I just moved. I've invested a lot into preparing the studio. That was pretty expensive.
That's true. This is your first studio.
Yeah, like the OLED just came out yesterday or something.
It may not seem that expensive from your perspective, but there's been more money put into this than I would have liked.
You don't gotta tell, dude. I've been there when I just started with my own little space.
Those sound panels,
just the panels, the panels. Yeah, it's a big investment.
I'm not done, and
I know.
There's
technically I need to buy more too, and I haven't been because they ain't cheap.
No.
Especially when you're trying to be a bit more unique like you are. You're going with the black, white hexagons. Those ones are even more pricey than just going with basics.
Yeah, 18 black hexagons and 18 white hexagons together is like $54.
Yeah.
That's with coupons and discounts.
And I've seen worse than that.
That's
too.
one pair.
Like,
I have
these lights
several
back
pairs.
here. I had to buy 6 packs of them, and these are not like the expensive nano lights, but each pack was still like $45, just so I can do like a very
Anything
basic
Q
design.
brand is insane. I've noticed.
Yeah.
I don't know what brand
And the
you
funny
have.
thing is, when I got them, I wasn't even sure they wouldn't flicker on camera.
Yeah.
Because when you got
risk.
cheap
Make sure the
LEDs,
refresh is good.
cheap LEDs sometimes have really bad refresh rates. I got lucky. I got you know why I got lucky? Because my old camera, the refresh rate wasn't good enough. This camera had a setting that I could sync it. That's
Nice.
the only reason they don't flash.
Nice.
Yeah. I mean, it's amazing with different things. I bought like blackout shades, new carpeting, like this different things. It's cool. It's cool. I'll maybe at some point I'll do like a more.
Yeah, I would like to see the studio tour. I mean, my studio tours
Yeah.
have never gotten a lot of views, but last one I just did a live stream with my phone, and people seemed to really like that because then I could just show them whatever they wanted.
Yeah, maybe I'll just make
For
it
the people
a
who
segment.
really care.
Maybe I'll make it a segment for the podcast or something or what have you. But let's get to the chat here.
Let's wrap this up.
Yeah, let's wrap it up. So Elemental Hero, the Shadow Link Dragon Wolf King, added
I love
me.
that name.
Love it. Here's a thought. With Mario Land at Universal Studios, what are the next set of tracks has a track of Mario Land from Universal Studios because there's a leak mentioning unique tracks? We're talking about the final wave for the Mario Kart DLC, or are we suggesting
What if
that
the next set of tracks has a track of Mario Land from Universal Studios because there's the leak mentioned unique new tracks? Yeah, I think you talking about the last wave having
there is a
one based on the ride.
Yeah, I kind of was upset because I did my wave 6 predictions, and I recorded that before the data mine update, and I didn't see a data mine update during my move, and I had a sponsored with the video, so it was like made way ahead of time, published, and people were like, "You're an idiot! This data mine came out. You know what the hell you're talking about?" I'm like,
yeah, bad timing.
I wish I was not so busy.
Yeah, because you would have been like, I'm not publishing. I'm gonna go like re-record some stuff.
Right. Because also there was just too many variables going on. And I actually did research for the video. It wasn't like I wasn't researching. I did research.
No,
it was just all about timing and partnerships that messed everything up.
So as for the Universal track, So I've seen video of the entire track. I don't think it's not even close to like even being big enough to be in the game. It's really short. But you could do something inspired by it if they wanted to, like based on it, because the track is like several different individual sections based on other Mario Kart tracks, which is a very interesting thing. And you could build a whole track around that where you're combining a bunch of different ideas from other tracks together, and different themes. But
I would like a Mario
I just don't think they're
Odyssey
going to do
tour.
that. Yeah, I just don't think they're going to do that. That's all.
I mean,
There probably will be at least one track that is like completely brand new, but then it's one that they're bringing to tour anyways because they bring all of them to tour.
Yeah.
So
I
don't think so.
I think you're probably right. I haven't experienced the park yet, but I think you're probably right.
I might have a chance in September. We're going to San Diego area for a wedding.
Nice.
And we're actually going to San Diego area. It's more like it's a place that's in between San Diego and LA. And I was like, do we just hop an Uber for a couple hours and go to Universal?
Yeah. By the way, I'm not going to PAX West.
I'm not going to PAX West either.
I
This
realize
is my
I'm going to PAX West. Is my announcement, guys.
I'll see.
Are you really
there?
These
No, no.
I'm just asking. Maybe you are.
If you were to go, he would
If
be
you're
my
going,
plus
you can
one.
represent my channel. I'll get you a
Yeah.
press badge.
Oh, actually,
Yeah, bro, don't worry.
Actually, that's a good idea.
I got you.
Hey, Brandon, I got a job for you. You're going to PAX West, buddy.
Yo, I'm going to
You
PAX
pay your
West.
own way. You cover all your own stuff, and you just do nothing but work for me.
But
sounds like
I
a
will
good-
give
a
you
good idea
a
for me.
box of
press
business
badge.
cards, and I will Sharpie
Dude.
on your name right under mine.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah, isn't that
We'll
exciting?
put your. I'm sorry, your X handle. I can't call it.
Oh yeah. Jesus.
Anyways,
I can't
moving
believe-
on.
Yeah.
You got added a lot by Elemental. I saw.
Yeah, I'll get to that. Skylink Shock Prime 4 with launch of Switch 2 in October, November 2024, and 3D Mario in early December next year. Also, check out Paul Gale Network's thoughts on the price drop. Scroll up a bit from this. Ooh, Paul Gale in the chat.
Yeah, Paul Gale.
Paul Gale. I
New
see.
dock may contain features the original dock did not.
Perhaps the old Nintendo Switch consoles could technically work in the new dock, but wouldn't benefit from any upgrades like potential 4K output because the old consoles can't.
An NS OLED to 300. Nintendo Switch to 250, so he's doing the $50 price drop. NS Lite to 150. Released Nintendo Switch 2 with 2 SKUs. One with a dock for 400. One without a dock, but works with the old Nintendo Switch docks for 300.
This sounds very well thought out.
Yeah, and that the new dock would have extra features. My question is, Paul, in that situation, then would the $300 Switch also technically work with the new dock? Like if they sold it separately, because they probably would sell it separately. It's got to work with the new. If it works with the old one, it's got to work with the new one, I assume, because it should be the same system. Just one comes with the dock, one without.
So one's okay. I was very confused for it.
Yeah,
so
yeah. One's with the dock, one's without, but they're both dockable. Basically.
But you can use like your old dock to dock the new one.
Yeah, I mean, knowing Nintendo, they probably do 2 different storage sizes, knowing them.
But
to save money.
But the new dock would have what 4K capabilities. So would your Switch 2 only be a 1080p console?
And then again, the OLED dock can technically output 4K if they just release an update dock.
Yeah.
Interesting.
That would be interesting. I wonder what the new features, because he said the new dock would have new features. Like, yeah, the 4K output being enabled right away. But I'm like, what else? We already have the Ethernet port. I don't really know what else I need from a dock.
Yeah, actually,
I don't think they're gonna put any more power or anything in there. It's not. I don't think they're.
Watch, there's a fan.
CPU.
Oh,
a fan.
There's a fan.
Honestly, boosting cooling could be useful.
Because a boost in cooling could let them up the clocks more, and that's the difference. If you use the old dock, you don't get as big of a boost. And the system can recognize if it's the old dock or the new dock.
I'll say that
I think that would be very confusing to casuals per chance.
Well, they wouldn't think about it. They would just plug it in.
Maybe they would just be okay with whatever.
Nintendo doesn't really talk. Like the Switch itself already has like 3 different power profiles. Nintendo doesn't talk about that. We just play.
Yeah, but that's also not in. Yeah, something the user can change depending on their setup. It's just all developer stuff.
But they wouldn't necessarily have to know. The user can also like buy a Pro Controller and play the game better, but Nintendo's not going to tell you the Pro Controller's better than Joy-Cons.
I guess that's similar. Yeah, I mean, honestly, you're probably right about like most people just being like,
it would just be Nintendo just wouldn't say anything. It would just be something on the internet that would go viral.
I like the idea of the dock situation, because
I'm just trying to think what a new feature would be.
Imagine if the OLED docks work with the Switch 2 to maximize capabilities, but the original docks don't. And what makes that interesting is that it kind of is
that's
almost
just
like
4K output, yeah.
Right. Well, yeah, if that's all it is. But what's neat about it is that for those who invested in an OLED, they're kind of halfway there, and they only have to spend $300 instead of $400 to get the maximum output of what
until
you
go. Until you're one of those people that wants to trade in your OLED towards the new one, they tell you need to include the dock. For people who don't trade it in, it's great. That's the point. For people who don't do trade-ins, it's great.
Yeah.
But a lot of people trade in their old system for the new system.
You know, I bought actually another part of one of the expenses for the studio set is I bought 2 extra docks for this living facility, because basically so I have 3 docks in 3 different rooms, so I have one
you
Switch.
You have to keep moving it around. It's so nice.
Yeah, just wherever I go.
I've got one here, one upstairs. I gotta get one in my bedroom because Yulia keeps disconnecting the one from the living room.
They're $69.95 on Amazon, so they only take a few. They don't come immediately. It's not like a 2-day thing, but it's like a 3 to 5 day thing. So it's
she get one so she doesn't have to move it anymore.
Yeah. It's convenient. It's really convenient.
She gets frustrated having to move it, and I'm like, yeah, I know, it's a pain in the ass.
It's maximizing.
I mean, it's not hard. It's just annoying. And when you've got a long, stressful day with kids, you just want to lay in your bed and just plop your Switch in and play. You don't want to be like, oh, I gotta go out to the living room. I gotta go behind the TV. I gotta unplug shit.
I mean, I
gotta bring it into here. And our TV's wall mounted in our room. So then you gotta unplug shit from there, and it's just a pain in the ass.
If you just have an extra dock, you just plop it in. Of course, you can just play in portable mode, right? But if you're trying to play on TV, it's a little bit different. And for
And
me,
sometimes it's more relaxing too.
Yeah.
Like, because I've noticed, and I knew this when I was a kid, it just didn't bother me as much. When I'm playing and laying in bed, like there isn't really a position I can just lay in for like an hour straight and be totally comfortable. I have to move. If I'm going here, my arms get too tired after a bit.
Yeah.
If I'm on my stomach, eventually my elbows get a little tired holding things up. If I'm on my side, well, eventually my side's like, all right, it's hurting a little bit, so then I gotta move. Whereas when she plays it on the TV, she just goes like this. Joy-Cons.
I love playing with
That's-
Joy-Cons, like you just randomly different,
Just
like,
separated.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
amazing. Yeah,
It's very nice.
It's so comfortable.
totally.
Like it's
Yeah,
something I
you
don't
can
think
just
people
lounge.
realize, like how comfortable. Like when you're just laying in bed and if you have it on TV or something, like you're just
It's
in
like
the
Wii
most
Remote and
comfortable
Nunchuck,
position
but
ever.
better.
Yeah,
That's
It-
the ultimate lazy controller.
it's
It
fantastic.
really is.
I look
You know,
forward
like, if
to
you're not like seriously like really into some competitive game or whatever, you're like, oh dude, just chill.
Yeah. Now, I could see how some people might think that that's just kind of like an unnecessary expenditure. But for me, it's not, because I record a lot of stuff on my Switch, right? Literally, right? The background music for this podcast.
This dock doesn't move for me.
Yeah,
This
the-
is all hooked up in my set.
I'm using my Switch right now. The background music for this podcast is Link hanging out in the Construct Factory. Like I didn't edit a music track.
I didn't know there was background music, but I'm also listening to you, not your music.
Right. Yeah, you're listening to me through Discord, not the live stream. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
That's a good way to do background music, though. I like that.
It works.
I should think about that because I already have it set up.
Yeah.
It's not a big deal. I just have to undo the audio and it's good to go.
Yeah, it's
Or
neat
unmute
because with the I don't remember what the update is, but now with OBS you can play on OBS. Now, of course, you need an internal capture card, so it's 1-to-1, because if you have an external capture card, there's too much delay to actually play the game, but you can still get the audio playing
It's too much delay to play the game with an external.
by looking at the screen on your computer.
Oh yeah.
But if you have the
yeah,
internal,
I have a separate setup for that right here, where
Yeah.
it's just on a different monitor.
yeah, then that would work for you. Yeah.
Yeah. I thought about that. Well, I had to think about that because I had the Mac Studio, so I can't use my
Right.
internal capture card anymore.
There's
Like,
multiple-
I'm holding on to it though. There's gonna be a streaming PC again. It's gonna happen. I just don't know when.
Nice.
Yeah. Moving
My
on.
capture card's like $600. I might get rid of that.
That is pricey. I did not spend that much.
It's
for mine.
it's a 4K 60 FPS.
So that
Oh,
explains
yeah.
it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh man, Switch 2 should take longer. That way I don't have to record. I don't want to have to record 4K. That's gonna cost money.
Mhm.
I'm gonna have to do that
Yeah,
eventually.
you're probably not prepared for that.
No, but I don't need
Technically,
to.
I'm not prepared for that right now. I have no way to record 4K. And, oh no. But it's only 30 FPS.
Well,
I have
mean,
a capture card that will do it, but it's only 30.
I probably won't have to worry about that for a year and a half. I guess that goes to. I think this
just
moment
go
right here.
cinematic. Yeah, I'm going cinematic
Yeah,
now.
cinematic
All my
now.
videos are 24 frames per second.
There you go.
Just cinematic. We're gonna bring the black frames in.
You gotta be
We're going
careful.
ultra wide.
Nice.
You might give
You
someone.
go
an
full
aneurysm.
anime, go 12 FPS.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Okay. Some more questions. We got some more.
That's crazy. It's crazy. Yeah, I think I just revealed when I actually think Switch 2 is coming out, like, because from when I'm thinking about it from a money perspective in terms of what I have to save and plan for, I'm like, it's okay. I can wait a year and a half. I'll be fine. Watch tomorrow, and Nintendo's like, hey, so Switch 2 is coming out in March. Better save up, kids. I'm like, I'll be like, damn it. Now I have to buy a new system and a $600 capture card
Yeah.
and a new
And all this
computer.
And I just sit here and be like, I couldn't afford it right now either if they said it was coming on. I'd just be like, I'm looking around my office like,
Yeah.
do I have any extra equipment that I don't need? I can sell. Oh, wait, no, I gave it to Andres. That was my extra equipment.
Could sell my soul.
You know what's interesting, right? So it's kind of like when we talk about this stuff, sometimes people are like, hey, so like you're totally biased because you want the system to come out sooner. We actually don't really. Like, it doesn't make sense
Like,
for
I
us.
want it to come out in 2023, but I'd like to know now.
Yeah.
Forget work reasons. I just want to know because I don't have anything saved up. And some of you are smart and have already had the money set aside for this for like a year. I don't go that way. I can't sit on money that long. I got a family. I got things going on.
Yeah.
I got a wedding. I'm going out to California now, out of nowhere. Oh, well, how are you paying for that? I don't know. I have some sponsorship money coming in that wasn't supposed to go towards that, and that's what it's going towards because it's literally like one of Yulia and I's best friends for like 20 years. Like we can't just not go to their wedding.
You gotta do it.
Yeah, so it's like we gotta eat the couple grand it's gonna take us to go do. It's just
yeah. Lately, I've been trying to save up, and I have been. This recent move has been an expenditure, right? So the savings are cut into a bit.
It's investing though.
Yeah, but the thing is, I'm not trying to save up my money so I can buy a new computer, a Switch 2, and a $600 capture card. I'm trying to save up money so I can buy a house, right? Like, you know, obviously that's just a couple $1,000s versus $20,000 to $40,000 for a down payment. So it's a very different animal, but you know. Anyways, life is a thing. It happens. We'll figure it out eventually. Moving on. By the way, Skylink Shock. I do think I personally think Prime 4 and a Mario release would be about 2 months apart. So I think October, December, maybe, or maybe like September, November, like that makes sense. I don't think they could happen the same day. Nate does. We'll see. You know, we'll see. Brandon, what do you think the gap would be?
I don't know. Honestly, I don't have any strong feelings either way.
7 years.
When the gap's going to be.
7 years. Well, I'm not saying it will be 2 months gap.
In the dark, but I feel like we really don't have anything to go on, and I don't have any.
Be the man that says Nintendo said 10 years, so it ain't coming yet until like 2027.
There you go.
That's how I'm going to sound in 2027. Yeah. All right.
As PS6 is coming out.
There you go.
God.
At this rate, maybe. Yeah. Samuel adds me. I will say I do still want and think early 2024 is possible, but it's just if I was betting, I would bet on late 2024. I think that's reasonable. I mean, at this stage, I do kind of feel like early 2024 is less likely, but you know, it just kind of depends. It depends on what happens. You know, we'll see. Taker 610. $299 in 2017 is the equivalent of $374 in today's money. It's gonna be $400, folks. You heard it here first. Maybe. Elemental Hero Shadow Link Dragon Wolf King. With Nintendo being at Gamescom, Tokyo Game Show, and the Nintendo Tour, what are your guys' thoughts of the Switch 2 being at any of the events that they're going to? Well, Gamescom is in August, so they would have to announce it in August then, if that's gonna happen, right? So that's pretty much it. If there's any actual thing that's gonna be on display, they would have to announce it beforehand or at the show, but it would probably be beforehand because that's how Nintendo rolls. Like they would do their own presentation or trailer drop. Let's see here. Okay, what's this? Elemental Hero asks me again, with many insiders, data miners, and more, do you think the Switch 2 Pro would be leaked or come out this year? I don't think it's coming out this year. I think that boat is long sailed. If it would be leaked, if it's coming out early 2024, yes. If not, not really. We might hear some details, but not like the whole report. Big Cheese Jr. I feel like a Switch 2 rumors are true. Mario Kart 9 will release for that. I mean, Switch 2 is gonna have whatever it's gonna be called. The next Mario Kart will come for it, for sure. All right. I think we have reached the end of the show. Nate, any final thoughts that you mentioned you may want to talk about what's coming up?
Yeah. For anyone over here who doesn't check out the Nintendo Prime channel, that's totally fine. You guys all have what you guys want to consume. I would appreciate if you would come over and maybe end my subscriber loss. But that being said, we actually have a podcast this Wednesday. We actually have it every Wednesday. But this Wednesday is a special one because it's going to be a spoiler podcast for Tears of the Kingdom. We got like 7 or 8 people coming on. including Andres Restart.
Huh? What?
So if you love that guy, you could see him again live here in a couple days.
Wow.
Going deep into Zelda. You like Joycey J from the chat? She's gonna be on the show as well for her first time ever being on a podcast with me. So it's gonna be a lot of. It's just gonna be a really, really big show. The biggest I've ever put on, just in terms of the number of people. I'm gonna focus more on managing rather than spewing opinions. But here's the problem: it's Zelda, so someone triggers me. I got to remind myself I'm hosting. I am not to take over the show. I need to let people have their conversation. I know how to do it. This whole season 2, when we've had our 6-person podcast, I've been pretty good at.
Yeah, you just gotta use duct tape. Just cover your mouth. That's what I would do.
Nah, I have a mute button if I need. I just mute myself now.
That's how you do it. Yeah.
Oh, my camera went. What happened today? Don't worry, guys. Keep going. Don't worry about it. Still here. I'll step in when I need to. No, but no, that's I actually kind of like being in the manager role and not talking as much, because I talk a lot every other day on my channel. So it's nice to step back and just manage the conversation when there's that many people. Keep us on track. Yeah, it's going to be a really, really awesome podcast. So I hope you guys come and check it out. If you've never watched an episode, that's going to be the one to check out. We're going to have like HMKs coming on, Kat Bergeson, others. I can't remember off the top of my head. But it's going to be a fun show. I couldn't get any of the big Zelda YouTubers because they're all over the pond. So like,
yeah, time zones.
It's really hard to get them to line up their time zone with me.
Yeah,
so I just couldn't. I tried, and I like was gonna move things around, and then other people couldn't make it. And I was like, you know what? We're just gonna do it when we do it, because I got to worry about my channel and myself. I can't just.
I
always
think
make it work for
we've
them.
only been able to do shows with Don from Monster Maze because he's a night owl.
Yeah. He's come on a call like 1 or 2, but I asked him about this one, and he's just like, man, I think I'm gonna try to sleep. I'm like, yeah, it's fine.
It's
you probably should be trying to sleep.
It's tough. It's
Sleep.
tough.
What's that?
Actually, Navi.
That's the thing. Like all the big Zelda YouTubers are almost not here.
Right. Yeah. There's a couple.
Yeah, there's some.
Yeah.
They didn't respond to me, which is fine.
Yeah.
I can't make people respond.
Yeah.
So.
But it's tough. I was gonna say, like, Navi, I had her on last week, right? She used to be across the world, and one time she got on the podcast, but it was when it's 3 a.m. It's 3 a.m. right? Like, it's tough.
Yeah,
it's tough.
It's tough, and like I've done that to be on podcasts for other people before, but it's rough because like if you're not used to it, like Monster Maze can do it sometimes because he's a little bit used to it, but some other people aren't. So like it's not just about coming on the show. It throws off their entire next day, which could also mess up their next day. And so it's hard to get some of those people on, but it's still going to be a pretty good show. I care about the quality of the conversation, not the size of the YouTube channel. None of that matters to me. So we're going to have a really good show. And then, yeah, I think that's really it. Besides my normal videos I got going on, check out Nintendo Prime. Yeah, I don't really think there's much else. There was something else I was going to bring up, but I think, no, I'll just talk to you about it after.
Yeah.
I think it's just something I want to talk to you about.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah, guys, but please make sure to subscribe to Nintendo Prime. Let's stop the subscriber drop. It needs to happen.
Drop.
We need to reverse the flow. We need to change his fate. Grab your Monatos and strike down his destiny.
When was the last day I had positive subscriber growth? I don't even remember. It's been so long.
It's also been a slow time in general right now. I think we're experiencing a dip. I've noticed, and correct me if I'm wrong, I think most Nintendo YouTube channels right now are experiencing a dip. Am I wrong?
I don't know.
Okay.
You seem to be growing still just fine. My last day was July 16th. No, sorry, July 2nd. I had 16 positive subscribers. Every day besides that, I've been losing 20 to 30. And then before that, my last positive day was June 1st. So, it's basically been 2 straight months of every day losing 20 plus subscribers a day.
It's weird. It's weird.
Told you, losing subs is my game. I'm good at it.
That's good. Yeah, but you also exploded.
It's not a big deal. It just means I'm not gaining more subscribers than I lose. I will always lose subscribers every day. Every channel does. But the idea is to gain more than you lose, and we're just not gaining more, and that's fine.
Yeah, you also had 131 subscribers.
131, huh?
131.
Man, I'm gonna be at 0 pretty soon.
Dang.
I'm gonna be at 0 by the end of the week.
131,000.
Like, I'm gonna go in the negative. Is that possible?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm about to dip below 131,000 here pretty soon.
Yeah.
So just keep going down. But it's not. I know one looks a good person in the mouth. My channel is way bigger, and I'm getting way more views on videos than I ever thought I would get. Like the idea of 10,000 views on a video, like 2 years ago, 3 years ago, it's like, yeah, that'll never happen. And now it's like, oh, cool, yeah, that pretty much happens most videos. Like,
it's crazy.
And the idea that I know that when we're in a game hype cycle, it could be like 30, 40, 50,000. Like, dude, that's awesome. I'm so thankful to be where I am as a channel that, like, I know that I rag on myself because I've been trying to figure out if there's any way I could just get even for a little bit, like just not lose for like a week. Can we just have a 0 out? But I haven't been able to do it. And you know what? That means I need to make more. I need to find the next hot topic. Maybe I'm not hitting on Switch 2 hard enough. Every video is Switch 2.
I've only made one
that
video
might not
on
be
this,
good.
But maybe it's Pokemon Legends Arceus. Not Arceus, Kyurem.
Yeah, I've seen some people that don't even cover Pokemon suddenly get a lot of views on cover, and I didn't really cover it.
Yeah. Well, it's hard if you're not that much of a fan, it might be tough.
That's the
right?
problem.
So,
like I'm not. I just don't like. I'm a huge
right?
Pokemon Legends fan, but it's like I can tell you what a rumor says. I cannot interpret this rumor for you.
Right.
I can't give you extra information. I can just read it off and go watch on Just Restarted. He knows more. Link to his videos.
Start playing Legends and researching. Building up to it.
I know.
Yeah.
Because that's gonna be big. It's gonna be really big.
Yeah, potentially.
But potentially, assuming it's all real. Mario Wonder, I think, is gonna be pretty big too. It's just that hype cycle's not gonna start for a little bit.
Yeah.
Maybe a little bit.
Yeah.
Probably not till next Direct. From that point forward, maybe they'll start.
I saw Nintendo of Europe tweet out about Mario Wonder, and I freaked out. I was like, "Oh snap!
I know.
I gotta do a Mario Wonder trailer analysis."
Dude, if I can get like 2 seconds of footage, and no.
It was just the same trailer. I was like, oh, it's the same trailer.
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
I was literally combing through it. I'm like, come on, just give me 2 seconds. You give me 2 seconds, and I'm about to drop a banger 25K video.
Bro, 2 seconds for a Zelda game would be like 2 years of content.
Well, dude, in the lead up, there would be like a commercial that dropped somewhere that had like an extra second and a half of an extended scene from the trailer. Yeah. And I'd post a video just about that second and a half, and I would just talk. I get all my thoughts on it there, and all of a sudden that would get like 50,000 views, and I'm just like, dude, all I need, Nintendo, is just a trickle of like 10 seconds spread out over the next 2 months of Mario Wonder, and I could literally just make, because people just are thirsty for more.
Just for you.
No, it doesn't.
Yeah.
It does. Commercials. Run commercials. Come on.
Yeah. But anyways,
I know it's too soon. You're not gonna do it yet, but come on.
Subscribe to Nintendo Prime so you can, continue to exist. Let's not let him hit 130K.
This is literally all I do, guys, and I support my entire family on it. My fiance got laid off, so it's all me, baby. It's what I do. Thank you so much for even watching one video if you have.
Yeah.
I appreciate it.
And Brandon, are you working on anything? Any giant rocket ships potentially?
I'm always working, but zooming through this. Okay, I'm not gonna compete. Anyways,
you actually responded to that.
Of course, I know the song. You think I don't know the song? No, I'm not really doing. I'm like working on things, but nothing that's about to be done. So maybe in the future, but nothing right now. Nothing to announce at this time.
All right, so he's building a rocket ship. Confirmed. Mm-hmm. Awesome. Epic. All right, guys. Thank you all for watching. It's been a great night. If you would like the stream, then again, subscribe to Nintendo Prime and send Brandon your love in the comments. But we'll see you soon. Take care. Bye.
See you guys.
Bye.
Only one crash.